What's shaking there, fellas? Man, what a letdown the World Cup was for us. Like, bunch of bums. Anywho, man, I was just thinking about. I was just watching. I watched a couple videos about like, oddly enough, like about women today. Like, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this woman, Tennessee Fly Girl. Hey, what's up, JQ? Yeah, Tennessee Fly Girl's her name. Um, she was taking lessons for to become a pilot, and she didn't take them seriously or whatever, and just and the her instructor, or uh like, you can just change if you have enough money, you can just change instructors till one gives it to you. And she like bought an expert plane, like a plane that you needed experience to fly. Or she ended up killing herself and her father. And I was thinking, honestly, it's weird that those things popped up, because I was thinking this week, and I was like, sometimes I think to myself, like, women used to be so demure and modest. They didn't brag. They didn't think that they could accomplish anything, and that they just could attack the world. They, they always had at least at least an equivalent sense of modesty as men did. And it kept them from doing a lot of stupid things. And also, it strikes me as like, how is it that they have the gall, or how is it that they have the confidence to do the things that they do today? Because, like, I remember my mom, like, she didn't have the confidence to drive practically. And I was just thinking how odd it is that they have so much gumption nowadays. And well, it's because they've been lied to. They've been lied to their whole lives. And it's like, like, to the point where they consider going alone overseas, going to places overseas by themselves. And they, like, they just assume they're going to be fine. It's like, I would never even, like, I don't have the gumption to think that I'm going to just pop into some other place I've never been to by myself, and then I'm just going to, like, as a guy, like, dude, bro, that's kind of a scary idea. Like, uh that's how people end up disappearing and stuff. But yeah, it just seems, they've been propagandized so bad, and we have such a uphill climb uh to right the ship of society. And you know like, I was going to do a video saying, our culture, our society is built on really shaky ground, because that Tennessee Fly Girl or whatever, she would bring her iPad along, and she recorded it, because she did a YouTube channel. She would record the lessons. And dude, she was more concerned with her iPad and looking cool in the video, like, straight up, man. And to me, it just seems so obvious that this is the same thing. It happens all over the place. All over the place, this stuff happens. And it's always the same way. Always the same way. They're trying to impress their social media. And it never works out. It never works out. And we see it all the time. How about that woman that was flying that helicopter after Trump took office? Like, stuff like that. And like, it occurred to me that, like, our women, and I think women across the world, have been set up to fail, but not just like starting a lemonade stand and then the lemonade stand fails. No, they have been convinced to go attempt stuff is that I wouldn't even try. And it's a tragedy, and it leaves them like I seen another one with this woman. She wanted to be an artist. She moved to New York, and then she was begging in a video, "Oh, I've been fighting and this and that," and then tries to blame it on businessmen and like Mom Donnie said he was going to help us and blah blah. And it's like she's like, "Yeah, I moved out here on my own. I don't know anybody." Like she's trying to get sympathy. I don't know anybody. I moved out here on my own, and it's like, well, what were you thinking? That was dumb. That was very foolish of you. What the fuck is up with this frames? Let me see. Give me a second. It's so weird. It doesn't usually do that. Now that I think about it, I think I know what the deal is here. Now that I think of it. Yep. Here we go. It's that party app. Frames are way off, so it drags the other streams down. Just wait for it to catch up. Anywho, yeah, I mean, and I've seen multitudes of these, and it just. How about, did you guys see that the meme or the picture of that black woman on the bus and all those guys in those white cloth masks? Interesting, isn't it? And then the video of what the woman was doing minutes before those guys, like the picture was taken, she was like pooping on the bus, like or trying to, and it was minutes before these guys get on the bus. They get on the bus, and this bitch is on her P's and Q's. I mean, she was like trying to act like she was crazy, kind of a thing. Nobody cares if the United States women team won 4 World Cups. Nobody cares. We want to see sports played at the highest level. Honestly, I didn't think anything of soccer until because I'd never watched grown men with testosterone play against each other. I'd always seen soccer played by kids. And then to see it played by grown men that are like snarling and like sweating and spitting, like it kind of like blew my mind. And yeah, I don't want to watch women. I just don't. And not only that, like that Caitlin Clark, I haven't watched it, but I've seen the highlights of how those women treat her. It's like, why would I want to watch a bunch of bitchy, militant dykes, colored ones to boot, play mean girls, you know, beating up on a girl, bullying her, beating up on her? I mean, why the hell would I want to watch something like that? Like, it's so, I want to watch sportsmen, people that have they have a competitive streak, they have like they can't help themselves, they, like, God help you if you get on, or if you're their competition, those people that even they're great friends, but as soon as, you're their competition, all that stuff goes out. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. I don't want to watch women. First of all, they don't compete at a high enough level. And they do the stupid mean girls stuff. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. Like that is legitimately the last thing I want to see. It's just not what I want to see. And just seeing that Caitlin Clark, it's like, yeah, who would want to see, who wants to see that? These and they're bitchy, they're masculine, and they want to act like black guys on a street on a street court, as if they're black like as if they're in White Men Can't Jump or something. They're like these hard ass from the neighborhood, Jenny from the block and shit. Like, bro, go pound sand, piss up a rope with that bullshit. I don't want to see it. You know it. It it bothers me, and I just seeing how they were treating her. I'm thinking, why would anybody want to watch that garbage? A bunch of bums, dude. A bunch of bums. Oh, I had no idea that it would be on that there would be posts about it.
Let alone a rookie as McBride releases and splashes home her.
Never mind. It's 4-3. Oh wow. Somebody posted this video because man, it was not good soccer. They were some bums, dude. That was some bum stuff, man. It was 4-1. Shit. Man, it was not good, bros. Honestly, I was thinking, bro, yeah, you're not gonna get America. You're not gonna win America over anytime soon with that. Yeah, here's that woman, bro. Check this out, my dude. Bro, do you see that, man? Do you see this? Look what this woman is doing. Minutes later, this exact same bus. Now look at her. And they had the gall, CBS and shit had the gall to say, ooh, this might be in history books in the future, like she's Rosa Parks. Oh, really? And they obviously they didn't realize what I think it wasn't until they posted that picture of her on CBS and stuff that people were like, yeah, well, this was her 2 seconds before. And it's like, maybe we do need like militias because all of a sudden these people mind their P's and Q's. All of a sudden, and what it does is it reveals something to us. It reveals the reason for the behavior. They behave that way because they can get away with it. They behave that way because they think that they'll get away with it, that we won't say anything. But as soon as they think that they're not going to get away with it, they snap back into form. Yeah, it's just not, it really is not entertaining, women playing. So, I mean, it's just not like the guys, there's like real drama. It's real drama. The couple, oh, what about these? You keep seeing these, man. What in the hell? Look at this, bro. Oh, shit. Sorry. Wasn't paying attention there. Yeah. What the hell is up with this? I keep seeing this, man. But it's like these people, things are so out of control, man. And like what I was getting at with, how women have been truly set up to fail, set up to think that they're pursuing things that are hard for anybody to do, like, and also pursuing your pilot's license. And the fact that, this woman didn't take it seriously at all. It was like something she was doing for social media. She was like in her 40s too. No, that's not, none of those. No, these aren't AI. These are real. What the, really though? Huh. That's right. I X'd out of that shit. Right. There was the YouTube video I wanted to show you, a couple of YouTube videos. And honestly, yeah, I've been kind of slacking because of the football. It's fixing to be over, but I've I've been watching it too much. I'm like, shit, I need to tighten up. Although I will say, like that England Mexico game, that was like one of the greatest sporting events I've ever seen. I mean, truly, it was amazing. Like England's team, oh, like they just have so much heart and they dug so deep. Like they had like truly guts, man. They're gutsy. It was a gutsy game. Both teams threw everything they had into it. I mean, like collapsing as soon as the whistle was blown at the end of the game. Just hit the deck. You know what's funny? Check what's crazy is this guy qualifies it and he like constantly, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Watch this shit. And this is just how bad things have gotten. Motherfucker. Son of a bitch. Bro.
Control over aircraft and crashed, killing them both instantly. However, that's not the most disturbing part of this story. And even though I shared with you what no one was saying about this tragedy 2 years ago when it happened, now that the NTSB final report is out, the details are worse than what people imagined. So sit back and get ready because this is one of the most shocking pilot mistakes that I've ever talked about. I'm Hoover and welcome to your pilot debrief. Before we get started, let me just say that my heart goes out to Jenny's friends and family members that were left behind, and that this video is not for them, because I know we're going to talk about some things that are going to be difficult to hear, but the reason why I'm doing
they should hear difficult things. Maybe we need to put, the fear of God needs to be scared into some people, because this kind of idiocy is just like, whoa, what are people thinking? What are people thinking, honestly? It blows my mind.
this is because I hope that it helps to save someone's life one day. Jenny was 44 years old, and if you've never heard of her, she started her aviation journey a few years ago and documented most of it on her Instagram, where she went by the handle 865 Fly Girl. She was also growing a large following on YouTube, where she was known as TN Fly Girl, but almost all of her videos were removed from the channel after the tragedy. Now, it's not clear when Jenny started learning to fly, but what we do know is that she purchased this aircraft, a Piper PA-28 Cherokee, in June of 2021, and she did most of her flight training in it. If you're not familiar, this is a basic single-engine aircraft that's a reliable training platform for a lot of new pilots. Jenny passed her private pilot knowledge test in October of 2021, but she didn't pass her private pilot check ride until May of 22, about a year after she purchased the Piper Cherokee. However, what you need to know is that most student pilots have about 60 to 80 total flight hours when they pass their check ride, but according to the investigation, Jenny had 193.2 hours when she finally got her private pilot license, and 182.6 of those hours were flown with an instructor. Think about that for a minute. That's roughly 3 times as many hours as the average student. And just to break things down a little bit further, according to her Instagram, she flew her 3rd solo flight in September of 2021, which means that she probably started flight training right around the time that she bought the Piper Cherokee. Now, if that's true, she was averaging at least 17 hours of flight time a month, which is probably at least 10 flights a month. So it's not like she had big gaps in her training. But I want to be clear when I say that I thought this might be one of the biggest failures of the investigation, because there's no evidence that the NTSB contacted any of Jenny's initial flight instructors to determine why she struggled so much and how she managed to pass her private pilot check ride. Because honestly, based on what this investigation has revealed, I'd argue that Jenny never should have been allowed to fly a plane by herself. Now, I realize that might sound harsh, but the truth is that some people aren't made to be pilots. And my gut tells me that it's possible that one of the reasons it took Jenny so long to pass her check ride was because she had to find an instructor who would sign her off. And honestly, I think that's one of the problems with the industry. You see, if you have enough money to buy your own plane, you can probably afford to just change instructors as much as you want until someone finally says yes. That being said, Jenny's story is about to get a whole lot worse.
Crazy.
It's important to understand that after you get your private pilot license, most pilots will continue flying in the same aircraft that they trained on, because that's your opportunity to build up some hours flying solo and gain more confidence in the aircraft before you move on to something more advanced. Now, if you were doing the math earlier, Jenny only had 10.6 hours of experience flying solo when she got her private pilot license. And even though that technically met the FAA requirement, it seems like she relied heavily on flying with instructors. So it kind of surprised everyone when, instead of spending time focusing on the basics in her Piper Cherokee, in July of 2022, just 2 months after she passed her check ride, Jenny sold that aircraft and bought a 1965 Beech 35 Debonair. This was a huge step up for her. That's because the Debonair is considered a high-performance complex aircraft. It has retractable landing gear, a fuel-injected 260 horsepower engine, and a max cruising speed of about 160 knots. So it was definitely a lot more to handle than the Cherokee she had previously been flying. Also, the Debonair requires you to get specific endorsements to be able to fly it, something that the NTSB didn't really dig into during their investigation.
Anywho. Yeah, she was flying with her father. I wanted you to see the videos because, like I said, she recorded these.
Tragically, this wasn't going to be the only. Over the next several months, Jenny continued to fly her Debonair, building up hours and documenting her journey on YouTube. And in my previous video that I made shortly after her in her new plane, it's time to talk about her instrument training and what else went wrong leading up to the crash. Jenny decided at some point during her aviation journey that she wanted to get her instrument rating, which would allow and had issues with the radios. A great example of that is in this video from her channel, where her instructor is trying to help her make a basic radio call to let the approach.
And you know, the instructor, you can tell that he isn't telling her what the hell is going on because he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. Like, you can tell she clearly messes up and doesn't know what she's doing, and he plays it off as though the wind blew them off course or something. It's like crazy. This is not good.
Controller know what altitude they're climbing to.
If you want to practice it with me first, we're saying Chattanooga approach, Debonair 58901 Juliet, climbing to 6,000. And then you let go. But you
Which
can
approach were you?
Chattanooga approach. Say it to me first.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it'll be.
Chattanooga approach, Debonair 58901 Juliet. Climbing. No, it was
Yeah, climbing to 6,000.
climbing to 6,000.
Alright.
Juliet.
All right, practice it again.
Notice all her GoPros are perfectly set up. She's definitely recording. We gotta make sure she's recording,
Okay, first of all, as a side note, the radio call should be Chattanooga approach, Debonair 58901 Juliet, 5,200, climbing 6,000. That's because you want to tell them what altitude you're at and what altitude you're going to. Regardless, Jenny kept thinking about it, and she practiced the call for another minute before she would try to make the actual call on the radio.
But you can practice it with me one more time.
Chattanooga approach, Debonair 981er.
Warner?
981er.
981er?
Yeah. 58901.
58901 Juliet, climbing to 6,000.
Yep.
All right. Chattanooga approach,
What the hell is he doing?
58901 Juliet.
He's like
climbing
messing
to
with a GoPro.
6,000.
Landing, but I'd argue that she missed the bigger picture. Watch what happens.
Yeah, she's like, she's worrying about her video and stuff.
Lined up, so just keep those triangles focused big on that, okay? A lot of your eyes I want your eyes to keep those triangles lined
Don't
up.
need to get down to 1,500.
Yeah, that's fine. Keep those eyes over there as you do that. Go back to the left.
Approach means the route that you're going to take to land. When you're approach, like an approach is when you start moving towards, like if you're getting close to the airport you're going to land at. The approach is like the last mile. It's when you go from flying, because when you fly, you take off and then you point the plane in the right direction and you just fly straight in that direction. The approach is when you leave that straight flying, to and from, you leave that and then you start doing landing maneuvers. You do that quite a ways off from the destination because you have to get it into position and stuff. It's not something you can just do, on the fly. But it's not something that you don't wait till the last minute to do it, and it's not something you do. It's not a fast thing. It's kind of a slow, because you have to tell the landing, you have to tell the tower that, hey, I'm approaching, can I land? And they have to give you permission and stuff.
It's a big turn. Yeah, power down to 15 if you can. Bring that quicker. There you go.
Okay, first of all, you'll notice that she's wearing a pair of instrument training glasses that limit your vision to just the instrument panel. That way you can simulate flying in the weather. And it seems like what she's trying to do is fly an instrument approach, and the instructor is trying to get her to correct back to the left because you can see that they're lined up to the right of the runway. But watch what happens next.
Let that nose kind of relax on down. Gotta get her a little high. Back to the left a little bit more. Yeah, that big crosswind from the left is making it hard on you. Yeah, it's showing only about 40 degrees off our left now. Keep that left wing down. It opens it up to us, and it really takes us. All right, back to the left. Left wing down.
That
pull
wind
up,
keeps
pull up a little
pushing
bit,
me.
Pull up. Higher, altitude, pull up, get higher. Up, to the left, up to the left.
The red circles on the video are ones that Jenny added herself, and I think she's trying to point out how they aren't lined up with the runway and perhaps how the instructor isn't taking the controls and correcting for her. But in my opinion, the whole point of the lesson is to allow you to make mistakes up to a certain point, because that's the only way you're going to learn. Watch what the instructor does though.
Yep, pull back. All right, my controls. Let's go visual.
I got it.
All right, your controls now. Sorry, the wind just took us at the last second there.
To be perfectly clear, the wind did not take them at the last second. Jenny wasn't applying the correct control inputs to stay aligned with the runway during the approach, and I think the instructor was just trying to be nice. However, I think he should have said, "Okay, Jenny, you're at minimums and you don't see the runway. What do you do?" Because that's going to force her to do a go-around, hopefully, and then I would have had her take off her glasses to see where she was in relation to the runway, because it really drives home the point about how difficult it is to fly an approach in the weather and the decision-making process when you reach minimums. Instead, he took the controls and he corrected for her, and then he had her fly the rest of the approach visually, but what Jenny did next in the video was the most shocking part to me. Watch and read the text that she added on the screen. Folks, to be honest, I'm not sure what point she was trying to make, because if she was flying this in the weather down to the minimums, then she might only have 3 seconds to decide if she's going to try and salvage the approach and land or just go around. And if the instructor wasn't there to help her, then she'd probably be dead. However, she doesn't seem to realize that, and instead she's focused on blaming the instructor for setting her up for a bad landing. Now, as frustrating as that might be to watch, it was just one of many examples from her videos of how she seemed to refuse to humble herself and admit that she might not be suited to be a pilot. Regardless, when it comes to the investigation, I think one of the most important things that an instructor said about Jenny was she could fly the airplane, it was decent, but she needed help consistently. If an experienced instructor or pilot were not there in the right seat, she would likely not do well between the radios, communication, and managing the aircraft. I imagine she would get behind or lose situational awareness quickly. Okay, please don't take this the wrong way, because I'm sure there's a lot more to the story than a quote on a piece of paper. But in my opinion, you can't say that Jenny can fly the aircraft while at the same time saying that she needed an experienced instructor or pilot in the right seat flying with her. She was either capable of flying the plane by herself or she wasn't.
Why did he? It's like, bro, why did you have to apologize for that? That's called the truth. Yeah, that's called the truth. This woman is dead because of her arrogance, her foolishness. And I would be willing to guarantee you there's a lot of other women that are dead, and there are a lot of us that will be dead in the future because of this. A lot of our lives are in these people's hands. That's what freaks me out. You know, like, remember I was talking about that Dr. Sandra Oh? You know, the sexology or the sexual psychology or whatever, and how clueless that woman was. And that's what I was saying. Like, man, these are supposedly the women that are going to take over for the male baby boomers when they retire. Bro, that scares me to death, man. Thinking about that, like my dad retiring and stuff. And there's nobody with competence that's ready to step up. And that's kind of scary, because with a lot of this stuff, it's not something that you can, that you know, if it doesn't work, men can't just step up and fill the role. It's like, no, they have 10 years of college. And when that competent, like, because I mean, baby boomers, they're a little bit like, unaware, they're not very self-aware, or they don't politics, they seem to be kind of disconnected, but they had extreme competence at their own professions. When it was like, when it comes down to it, like their own professions, These are extremely incompetent individuals, extremely competent doctors, surgeons, pilots, engineers. And like the fact that those, like, they're being replaced by, women and brown people, it's like, bro, that just doesn't make me feel very good, man. The idea of, our society is like, bro, it doesn't really have anything holding it up, because, the either these women, a lot of them, they have had a lot of bullshit pumped into their head, brainwashing. Like you see that Barbie movie, all of these, like Scarlett Johansson as a comic book character in the Marvel universe, like kick like 10 guys' ass with her bare hands. And people are just constant. They're saying, "Oh, you're just like men. You're just, and we've heard it all our lives that women can do anything men can. It's not so. And it's not a bad thing. It's just not so. It's just not so. That's not what women were meant to do. And they've been, like, and this is the same old story when it comes to the left and it comes to all the this ideology that's been pumped into everybody's brains. They change things and they start altering society with no backup plan and with the assumption that their hypothesis is fact and therefore their conclusion is fact. The blank slate, that was fact as far as as they were concerned. So they gas these women up, and they've been telling them since I was in school how they can do anything men can do and this and that. So now, they kind of have a lot of balls now. Like they have the gumption where they step up. Like this woman had absolutely no business trying to become a pilot. She's dead for that. She's dead over that. Extreme confidence, it's not good. Young men, teenage boys have an extreme, like a complex. They have too much confidence and it gets them killed. Well, the men that survive, they lose that confidence or they die. I had to stop. I mean, I was kept wrecking motorcycles, and at some point you have to wake up to the fact that maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But you hear women talk, it's like they would never come to that conclusion. Or at least you don't hear about it. And it's just, I feel like feminists have an idea of men, and they have sold women that idea and the confidence that they are the same as that idea. Like feminists, they have a very distorted opinion of men. Yeah, I think, he's coming on, I'm sure. Let me check right quick on Rumble. Make sure that his shit's live. But, I'm sure you all have heard, you guys, I'm sure, have picked up how feminists, they're bitter and resentful that they're not men. I forget what they call penis envy or something, but like they are like pissed off at God that they're not men. And they think that, how they think that we have all this privilege and stuff and that our life is so great and we get like constant handouts for our privilege. And it's like, you mean burden, right? You mean a curse. It's a curse. You realize that, right? But you could never convince them of that. They assume that it's just all lollipops and gumdrops. And then they sell that idea of masculinity and manhood to women. And no wonder these women go out and do stuff that the average man wouldn't attempt. You don't see me out there trying to get my pilot's license. There are just safer modes of travel. Truly. Like, I just don't trust myself, and I don't trust man-made stuff. If I had my own natural set of wings, that would be one thing, but I don't have faith in somebody's Cessna. It just, I'm not going to die because somebody didn't tighten down some stupid bolts to their torque rating. I'm just not doing it. I refuse to go down like that. Oh, I have no idea. Uh, oh well, I hear you on that. Yeah, it is kind of gruesome, but this stuff needs to be said. It needs to be said because people are getting killed over it. That one guy that I did work for that had his own little ultralight. That was really cool, but like I never even considered getting a plane. Like hell no. Are you kidding me? Nah, I'm good. It just that doesn't make any. It just doesn't seem very intelligent to me. I mean, it's unnecessary. And how many billionaires and how many actors have killed themselves flying planes? Like John F. Kennedy Jr. or whatever. There's so many people die from helicopter crashes and plane crashes. I'm good. I'm just good on the whole thing all the way around. I'm very close to being good on commercial flights, to be honest. I don't even like them. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I don't like the idea of you know, I don't like being in planes. I don't like it anyway. Like I'm just not into it. But and it just blows my mind how a lot of this stuff happens and nobody points it out. And like I said, that guy, he's like qualifying it. Oh, I don't want to upset. It's like he's so concerned with people's feelings, and it's like, doesn't anybody realize that like that's the problem? That's the problem. That guy he didn't have the stones to just tell that woman that she shouldn't be a pilot. She's not cut out for it. What's so hard about that? Yeah, I mean, not everybody is meant to do everything. It's just that's the way it is. Yeah, I didn't make the rules. I've tried to do stuff that I failed miserably at. It is what it is. Yeah, I failed. I wanted to ride a motorcycle, and I just dude, wow, this is bullshit. Why my shit just logged out on me? Very good. Not having very good luck. Fuck. Nice. Yeah, the stream's back on. I can't fucking believe that shit.
Is actually going this way. Jenny's got some problems with.
Hmm. The last couple streams have just not gone away here. Fuck. Yeah, if you
Chivalry. They
guys,
are at
if I'm like doing a debate, yeah, try to keep it down on the, all of the, the Jew stuff. It's like, I mean, as far as anybody's concerned, you guys were just random people. So it is what it is. But it's just, you know, yeah, it was like kind of like embarrassed, like, oh shit, these guys are just fucking going wild with what they're talking about. Did they not even realize that, like, everybody can see what they're saying? Yeah, it was something else. Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting to we weren't supposed to disagree. That wasn't supposed to happen like that at all. It was supposed to be like he was just getting our opinions on that stuff. It wasn't supposed to be a disagreement. And I guess I just kind of forgot how far I've moved from where I used to be politically. It's easy to drift like that. Uh, and I don't watch like Fox News or any of that stuff anymore. And it's like kind of hard to, as far as I was concerned, is like, yeah, I'm just following my nose, following the truth and stuff. Like, and but I didn't have a very good frame of reference. It's like I didn't know what direction I was pointed in, because I didn't have my orientation because I don't watch the news, had no bearings. Um, and yeah, the dude, he was like just doing his straight up Fox talking points. It was pathetic. Like, my goodness, like, what is the point of why get that guy's opinion? Who gives a shit what that guy thinks? He thinks the exact same thing as we can get his opinion from Fox News. What's the point in that? And the guy, that Becton guy, he was telling me, the guy that moderated, I'm not going to get into it, but the guy that moderated it, he was saying that they don't really have any people on the left. That everybody is on the right, I guess, nowadays. And I was thinking to myself when he said that, I was like, he's just kind of assuming, how I was. And I was thinking to myself, like, I don't really go by labels. I was like, there's probably a pretty good chance, I was trying to kind of imply that to him, like, there's probably a pretty good chance that I disagree with your boy, you know. And I was like, and honestly, if it were like I was trying to imply, like, if you want, I can play the devil's advocate if I need to, like sometimes I like doing that, especially when it's a guy like that. That's when I actually do want to play the devil's advocate, or I just want to argue with that guy, like he was just a little bit he was a bit of a smartass, and he had no reason to be a smartass. That's kind of made me chuckle. And I was like, when I was talking to that dude who like posted it, he was like, yeah, you don't need to do research and this and that. It's like, thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate the heads up there. So I was like totally unprepared. But that's gonna happen. And really, I've never taken um debate or anything like that. I've never taken any courses. I don't know debate. I don't know it. Like, I know how to argue and stuff. I guess I kind of like my cousin Vinny, but I don't know all of the fallacies and stuff. Yeah, that's never been my thing. All the different. I mean, and just seems kind of like a waste of time. It's like, I'm pretty good at debating. I'm not a debater, so like, why would I study how to argue with people when I don't argue with people? I always said I'll cross that bridge when I get there. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to do that. I'd rather be looking into other stuff. But yeah, and I see a lot of times, yeah, people, they know all the different fallacies and this and that. And I guess it is nice, like that Andrew Wilson, that's how he is. He knows all that stuff backwards and front. And, more power to him. But I would submit that that's he doesn't I personally feel like Andrew Wilson doesn't win debates with substance. He wins debates by being not, or by knowing about debating. or he doesn't win debates on arguing a topic or an affirmative or being persuasive. He wins debates by catching people in logical fallacies and technicalities. And that's fine, I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it at all. It's just not my style, and I'm just not interested in it. Yeah, but I mean, he seems to do fine. He seems to do okay doing it, and that's cool with me. I have no issues with it. I just don't find it all that particularly entertaining. And I don't really feel like anything is ever nothing is ever solved. Nobody ever learns anything. Nobody ever says, I never heard that before. I never thought of that. And yeah, I just I don't really see that as really all that valuable. It's like, what exactly are you accomplishing, dude? Are you just like they people say, you're on there just to own the libs? Well, that's fun and all, but what exactly what are you contributing really in the end? Because as far as I can tell, he's contributing as much as any of these other leftist influencers. Jack squat, diddly squat. That's how much he's contributing. Nothing is added to the conversation. He just gets to humiliate somebody or think he humiliated somebody. And I just, I don't, it just seems like a lot of show, a lot of hot air. And that's never been my thing. I've never been into just, debating to make people look bad, to take, to, or to make myself look good. That's not what it's about. Like, it's about getting, reaching a conclusion. That's what it's about to me anyway. And that's how I fashion my arguments too. It's like, how can I get this person to this conclusion? How can I get them on my side to the to the same to the same side of the debate? And I asked myself that question. It's like, because a lot of times, even if you have a superior argument, it doesn't, like, especially with liberals, progressive or something. Most of the time, they won't even let you say your argument. But let's say they do, out of spite, they're not going to. They're going to say no, no, and reject everything out of spite. So I tend to actually think about things like that, and then like try to craft an argument that isn't just the straight on, typical, stupid Republican, conservative, just head on argument, because it's like two rams. You're just bashing heads. It's like, and with that guy, that I was like, I was kind of like, the debate's over at the end, because it was like, well, I don't have any facts or information with me, and you don't have any information with you. So we're just going to sit here denying each other's facts. So what's the point? Like, we've talked long enough. I've had enough, and so that was that. But I'm sure I'll debate him again, and I'll do my proper research. Honestly, I hadn't even really looked into those Supreme Court rulings. I hadn't even read an article about him. I heard Nick talk about him, but that was just me winging it. That was the stuff that popped into my head while he was talking. And that's kind of what I like, my thing, or I'm good at that. I'm good at extemporaneous. I'm good at uh stuff pops into my head. Pertinent, relevant information will pop into my head. Not facts though. And it is what it is. I mean, I felt bad for the guy. Like, bro, how is it that you know what you know, but you believe everything? How is that, bro? You have internet, man. You have the same internet I have. I mean, I guess a lack of curiosity. I don't know. I kind of got the feeling that he was kind of out of his. He wasn't cut out for this. I mean, the dude wasn't dumb, but it was like, bro, you're about as interesting as paint, man. You're about as interesting as paint, bro. I mean, really, that's what I was thinking was like, holy crap, man. This guy is like, whoa. He has no personality. None. Zero. And it is what it is. I wasn't gonna bust his balls. Like I'm not trying to have like knockdown drag out fights with people. I'm not trying to get spiteful. I'm not trying to show my ass. Like, like I don't want to get down and roll around in the mud with people. Hell no. Hell no. Like it just I like having real conversations, not those kind of not a, like a pig wallowing in the mud. No. And that's kind of why I was like moving on. Like, I just but like I said, yeah, I don't have any training, but I'm gonna put I'm damn sure gonna learn now, which be easy enough. Like that's not the hard part, learning about technique and stuff. The hard part is having something to say. And that dude had nothing to say. He had nothing to say, man. And when I was listening to his first spiel, I was thinking to myself, like, man, bro, you I mean, he just didn't have much to say, and it was a lot of he didn't even seem like he was all that enthusiastic about what he had to say. Like, and when I'm like sitting there and all these things are like popping off in my head like a machine gun, all these different talking points. And I'm like, shit, man, when are you going to stop talking so that I can say something interesting? So that I can say something that people will actually want to listen to. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, I could have done one the week before. The guy just came to me. It was really late, last minute. But I'm pretty sure those will be kind of often, I would imagine. So they'll probably be pretty often in the future. It was only a week before that he asked me about the other one. And also, a friend of mine, I've said, like all my friends died from overdoses. Nick just sent out his message. I said all my friends died from overdose.
Chivalry. They have become these elaborate.
Yeah, well, I thought all my friends were, I forgot about one good friend, my friend Spencer. Is it not connected? Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, I thought about my friend Spencer, he messaged me on Facebook. He's an influencer too. He's been doing it for a decade now. He does stock options and stuff. And like I had no idea. He has like a massive Discord that he runs, and like he's been doing this 10 years, and he lives like an hour and a half. He lives in Tampa. He used to live like 5 minutes from me, but like he went to the same high school as me and stuff. But yeah, he's been doing really good, and I did see him on Facebook a few times, but I thought he was in Texas. But like he's giving me pointers and stuff um on everything. Like he's actually that's what I've really needed is somebody that I could ask advice from. Like, how do you do this? How do you get started with that? Editing and stuff, because he does a stream and he has two Substacks. So clutch. I had no idea that. I mean, it's just like, wow, what are the odds? That's awesome. But yeah, I'm kind of psyched about. I was trying to say at the end of the stream last time, but I'm like super psyched about that because, like I said, I kind of I need somebody to ask advice, because he's actually been doing the actual streaming for 10 years since. Well, he said he really took off in COVID. And actually, 1 second. May as well just do a name drop kind of a thing. I think it's Z Trades. I think that's what it's called. Z Trades. I think so. And yeah, he's been doing it for 10 years. I guess he has a really good following and stuff. And he has a Discord. I guess he hell. I guess he trades or he has the premium Rumble or not Rumble, Discord, where you have to pay for a membership. I guess he has like one of those kind of a following. I don't know. It's like he gives out advice and stuff, whatnot, and just talks stocks with everybody. It's pretty cool. He's a smart dude. Here we go.
America first. America first.
Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Monday. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story, we're talking all about the Maine Democrat candidate for Senate, Graham Plattner, who may be dropping out of the race after a serious rape allegation was made against him. We were aware of a sexual assault allegation going back at least a month, but now we have the full story in Politico. An accuser has come forward, and she says that in 2021, Graham Plattner forced himself on her when he was drunk. And this allegation has all the hallmarks of a classic Me Too. Like that nobody ever heard about the rape allegation until the rapist was running for office. She actually slept in the same bed as him the night the rape happened. She said she didn't want to wake him up because if he had to go home, he'd be drunk driving.
Oh, wow.
And then she described him after the fact as charming, intelligent, and a good guy, other than the fact that he kind of raped her a little bit once.
Fuck.
Nevertheless, the Democrats are calling for Plattner to drop out of the race, and it looks like it's all but inevitable that he will get out in about a week before the Democrats hit this deadline where they're able to replace him. So it looks like this Me Too incident just might cost the Democrats control of the Senate. Depending on how things shake out, this might be the one that actually forfeits them control over both chambers of Congress in the midterms. Pretty stunning reversal.
Are you?
So we'll talk all about that.
Bro.
We'll get into the allegations.
Hey, bro, we're being judged by God right now. Make no mistake, we're being judged.
We'll talk about the prospect of whether or not he'll step down and then what happens to Democrats in the midterms. We're also going to talk tonight about the Patriot Front rally in Washington, D.C. for the 4th of July. Major demonstration. The press says it was over 400 people were assembled in the district for their 250 4th of July performance. Their leader, Thomas Rousseau, gave a 6-minute speech about their vision and program. And the whole incident basically resolved without incident. But it looks like there's been a lot of chatter about it on social media, sparked the usual accusations that they are feds from the left and from the center right. But I will say it seems like there's a major push, especially after this rally over the weekend, to rehabilitate Patriot Front. I don't want to say that it's coordinated, but it's a very concerted effort, I think, on Twitter to promote this organization, try to make it seem like this is hip now.
That was Patriot Front with the guys with the white masks with that colored woman on the train. That was who that was.
Now this is cool. And a lot of people using it to attack me. I love that. I'm on 4th of July just doing my thing. I'm at the fireworks at Navy Pier. I'm just having a fun time with friends and family. Whatever, they're doing their rally in D.C. Okay, whatever. And nobody can praise the demonstration by Patriot Front without throwing shade at me at the same time, without using my name to bait engagement and throwing me under the bus and say, look at this guy. This guy's on the internet. He's not doing anything. These other guys are in the streets. That's real activism. And we'll talk a little bit about the rally. You know my feelings about Patriot Front. I feel like I'm asked about this all the time, and I've discussed it many, many times over the years at length. And I will just say at the outset, I don't even know what people mean anymore when they say that somebody is a Fed. People say that Patriot Front are Feds. They say I'm a Fed. They say many people are Feds. I think that has just lost all meaning at this point. I don't think most people even know what that means, what it once meant. I don't even think they know what they mean when they say that. We used to say that you were a Fed if your behavior resembled a federal informant's efforts to infiltrate an organization. Either you're an informant or some sort of federal operative. And so I think it's sloppy and lazy to say that they are Feds per se. I don't think the organization is all or even mostly federal operatives or even confidential informants. I think that's a red herring, and that's not my problem with them, and I think that's largely missing the point. I think it is probably the case that they have confidential informants inside the organization, at least one, probably several at the minimum. There are leakers. We know that for a fact, and we'll get into that a little bit. The larger problem to me is I do not support so-called street activism. I have never thought, other than in very rare circumstances, that big public spectacles and choreographed demonstrations, particularly in costumes, uniforms, as part of membership groups, with weapons, I have always thought that is a terrible idea, with few exceptions. And the two notable ones were January 6th and anti-vax. Those were the only times I thought it was appropriate to actually engage in any kind of demonstration. But by and large, I think it's basically pointless at best. And at worst, when it involves costumes, membership lists, I think it actually is very risky and dangerous for its members. And I think it represents a real liability to the movement at large. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Like I said, I think people just miss the mark when they say they are Feds, they're with the FBI. I don't think that really captures the essence of what is wrong with the organization. I also think it's fundamentally just not really even true. The larger problem is that type of activism really has little benefit, if any, and carries with it a ton of risks and a lot of problems. And we'll get into that a little bit. So that's going to be our show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Check out our merch store. Summer collection is still not here. I'm not happy about it, but we're hard at work on it. But if you go to Fuentes.store, you can still get the other merch from the spring collection and everything else. Check out our subscription website, AmericaFirst.plus, if you want to support the show. $15 a month, you get access to the archive, every episode of the show, every debate, interview, collaboration, gaming stream, commentary stream, it's all there. $100 a month, you get access to the exclusive group chat with me on Telegram. And I dropped a lot of bonus content in there this weekend. I was in the group chat all weekend, dropping bonus content, voice memos, live reaction, hanging out. So if you're interested in that, check it out, AmericaFirst.plus. Okay, with that out of the way, we're going to dive in. And first, before we get into the news, have to talk about the Groyper curse that has befallen my old friend Sneeko. my former friend, Sneeko. Hate to see it. And it's so funny because I literally predicted that this is exactly how it would go. Did I not? Last week, Sneeko does a stream showing a clip of some crying Palestinian, and he does a fake cry. He shows his stream this clip of some Muslim, Arab, Palestinian crying about what's happening in Palestine. And he goes, look at this, chat. You need to see this. And then he starts pretending to cry himself. And I reacted to this clip on my show last week. This is why I'm bringing it up. I reacted to this clip and I said, isn't it so typical? Isn't it so typical of Muslims and brown clowns that on the one hand, they're the biggest victims and they want to cry about racism and Islamophobia and colonialism and genocide and war and the West and America, and they want to play the victim and they want to wave the bloody shirt and they want to cry and they want you to cry and they want you to feel sympathy. And then in the next sentence, 10 minutes later, you see a completely different side. And when we talk about how our race is being genocided through mass migration, they laugh about it. They laugh and they gloat. And they say if the white race is being genocided, that's because you deserve it. You deserve it because you're not having enough kids and you're foolish. And this is what you deserve for what you did to everybody else. And when we talk about the grooming gangs in the UK or in Europe and the rape of the girls in Europe, killing of the young men, they gloat. They run cover. They defend the behavior. They talk about how the real crime is all the Islamophobia against the innocent Muslims. They take up space in our public places in New York City, in Dearborn, Michigan, in Minneapolis, and they do these big demonstrations of strength. And they say, we're here to take over. Islam will dominate the world. Everybody's going to be Muslim. And I said, this is just so typical of brown clowns, Muslims, these fucking foreigners that come here. They take advantage of our kindness and our charity by playing the victim. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, our genocide, boo-hoo, we're so weak, boo-hoo, we're losing a war. We got our shit rocked. We got more than we bargained for when we invaded Israel and then got our shit kicked in. And we take them in. And we're sympathetic, and people donate money, and white people and the universities and in the cities go and demonstrate in their defense. And then when it's our turn, when we're under attack, when white children are being raped, when the white race is being genocided, when our countries are being destroyed, they laugh. They laugh, they gloat, they turn around and they say, we're here to conquer, everyone's going to be Muslim. So Sneeko said this last week, everyone needs to cry about Palestine. I said, this is how they all behave. And then literally 2 days later, he's in New York saying, everyone will be Muslim. Islam will take over the world. Everyone's going to be Muslim. And you know what? I don't hate all Muslims. I really don't. I have Muslim friends and I respect Muslims, but I have the same expectation of Muslims that I have for Jews, that I have for any other foreigner that resides within our borders, whether we like it or not, and that is that you respect our country. You're in America. Show some respect. You are lucky enough that you were either born here or we welcomed you in to the greatest country in the world. This country wasn't built by Muslims. It wasn't built for Muslims. It was built by Christians, by white men. So you come into our country that we were gracious enough to let you survive in, that we were gracious enough to let you live in, you better show some respect, not just to the country, but to the people and the civilization that built it. And that's whites and that's Christians. So you shut the fuck up. You keep your prayers in the mosque where they belong. You salute the flag and you show a little bit of respect to the people that built this place that you call home. That's the bare minimum. You want a country where there's tolerance for other religions? You want a country where there's tolerance for people that don't look like whites? Then why don't you show a little bit of respect? That's the bare minimum for all of them. And so I said this on Twitter. And I said this a little bit on my show last night, and I already see a lot of people are coming around. A lot of these pro-Israel types are saying, well, Nick, we told you so. We told you that last year. I saw Laura Loomer on Twitter today. She said, I told you so. This is how these Muslims are. I said, not so fast. Here's the difference. Laura Loomer and Randy Fine and Ben Shapiro, they're just the other side of the same coin as Sneeko, Hassan Piker, and Zohran Mamdani. It's not I told you so. These are two people that really have no business being here. These are two people with a totally alien religion, totally alien language, culture, civilization. They're not even from here. And they both come here so arrogant, so bold, no respect, selfish, putting their own people and their foreign country first. As far as I'm concerned, I feel the exact same way about both of them.
Yeah, fucking A.
Laura Loomer, Shapiro, Randy Fine, as well as Sneeko, Hassan, and Zohran Mamdani, they should all go home. Because clearly they prefer their motherland more than they prefer this country.
Of fucking insects.
Mamdani's from Africa. Hassan is from Turkey. Sneeko's from Haiti. All these Jews, I mean, ostensibly they were born here. We all know they'd be happier in Israel. We should send them all back. I said this at the beginning of the year, did I not? I said at the beginning of the year, we are going to have to actually refine our movement. And what it means to refine is actually to reduce, to clarify, to actually create some necessary distinctions. And I said this last week, there was a time in 2023 and 2024 when the affair of Gaza was actually a useful rhetorical tool to bring attention to Jewish control over our society. That's what it was. It was a wedge issue for the Democrats who were in power at the time, and then it became a wedge issue for the Republicans. I see it as a vector to introduce this idea that Israel and Jews have too much power in our society, and it's actually fair to criticize them. Because before the affair of Gaza, you were not allowed to talk about Jews or Israel. You were not allowed to criticize them. You were not allowed to say anything negative about them. And if you did, you were canceled, fired, censored, the rest of it. So I continue to believe that it was the right decision and the right strategy at that time in 23, 24, into 2025 to seek a common cause with Muslims and certain elements of the left who are bringing this issue into the mainstream, breaking the taboo, making it acceptable to talk about, and thus changing public opinion. And the proof is in the pudding. Now, 80% of Democrats are against Israel. About half of Republicans are against Israel. The biggest podcasts in the country are all, at the minimum, Israel critical. They're certainly not pro-Israel. So as far as that is concerned, mission accomplished. But now that everybody knows about Israel, now that everybody knows about Jews, we need to assert what our actual, real, positive vision is, not just a negative vision. If the propositionally negative idea is we don't want Israeli control, we don't want a Jewish oligarchy, then the positive vision is what we want is American sovereignty. We want American control over our own affairs. We want America first. We know what we don't want. What leftists, Muslims, nationalists do not want is for the Likudnik regime in Israel to control our country through the Republican Party. We know we don't want that. But what we want is very different from what Muslims want. What we want is very different from what leftists want. What Zohran Mamdani wants is some kind of race communist regime where they're taxing white people to give to non-white people. We're abolishing ICE, abolishing prisons. What Muslims want is for Islam to dominate the world. Muslims go to bat for Somalians in Minneapolis who are stealing taxpayer money to give to Somalia. They're doing the same thing Israel is. So if in 23 and 24 we establish that what we all don't want is Netanyahu and AIPAC and a right-leaning Jewish matrix controlling our society, now where we diverge is in saying what we do want. And what we want is America first. And America first means ICE, closed borders. It means Somalians got to go as well as Zionists. It means America's not going to be a Jewish oligarchy. It's not going to be some kind of Islamic emirate either. It's not going to be some kind of Sharia law state where we're doing the call to prayer in public. America needs to be distinctly American. Everybody that is going to live here, if they're going to live here, has to put America first. It doesn't matter whether you're a Jew or a Muslim. And as far as Israel and Palestine are concerned, I don't care about either of them, even a fraction as much as I care about America, not even a small fraction. Now, obviously, the distinction is that this country happens to be fighting Israel's wars and funding Israel, and that's the difference. But I'll tell you what, here's what makes no difference. I don't want to live in a country that has a Jewish oligarchy at the top of the society. I don't want to live in a country that is totally flooded with third world immigration at the bottom and the middle of society either. It's the same outcome fundamentally, which is depriving Native Americans of their sovereignty and their God-given rights.
And a decent wage. Yeah, that's just as important as everything else. We're getting screwed out of a living and a decent wage because of all these people.
Jews are in control of the political and economic affairs of the country, then we have no sovereignty. If non-white third worlders, foreign nationals pour across our borders, outvote us, outman us, overpower us at the ballot box, we don't have sovereignty in that situation either.
We're like the English.
So it's actually refreshing to see. I think there is a synthesis coming together. I see guys like Aiden Ross, Asmongold, Patrick Bet-David, Alex Jones, Elon Musk. It was really nice to see everybody come out and condemn Sneeko for saying that New York is a Muslim city and Islam is taking over. It was actually refreshing to see that because contrary to these left-wing pieces of shit that celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, contrary to these Muslim foreigners that call us infidels and hope Allah punishes us, as Sneeko himself said, we actually love America. And we're actually normal. And that's actually the coalition that we need. Not Zionist, not third worldist, America first. There is an alternative. So no captive dreamer, no Laura Loomer. We all see what you people are or were. No, the Trump suckers don't get to do a victory lap. The Trump suckers, they defended everything that Israel did every step of the way. They were fine with it when the Jews are doing it. And Dan Bilzerian and Sneeko and Ian Carroll, they don't get to be a part of it either because they'll tolerate it with the Muslims in Minneapolis. They'll tolerate it with the grooming gangs in the UK and George Galloway, some communist, or Mamdani. Well, they got something to say about Israel. How about neither? How about neither? So I saw that clip from Sneeko. It went super viral. Everybody turned against him. That's your gripe or curse. And it's about time. It's about time for somebody to actually care about America and put America first. So, you know, Elon, I have my problems with Elon, obviously, but it was nice to see him give that a little boost. Alex Jones and I, totally on the money on that one. And I'm actually going to do Alex Jones' show on Wednesday. We're going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to be live with Alex at 1 p.m. Central on Wednesday. We're going to get into all this. But yeah, I saw this from Sneeko. It's very sad. It's very sad. He seems to be joining up with Hassan Piker and Zohran Mamdani. And it's like I said last week, just because I don't like Israel doesn't mean I'm a communist. Okay? Fuck that. I saw last week all these DSA candidates won their election, and each one is more anti-American and radical than the last. And that's not like a GOP talking point. They're talking about abolishing ICE. You know what that means? Amnesty for 12 million illegals brought in under Biden. So no, just because I don't support genocide and a war with Iran, just because I don't want AIPAC to buy all the elections doesn't mean I'm a communist that wants to abolish the police and the prisons and ICE and legalize weed and abortion and free all the George Floyds from prison and have them wreak havoc on our free buses and free subways and free grocery stores and take all the money from white people and give it to them? I'm not a communist either. And you know what? The DSA is growing in strength. They're going to have like a dozen members of Congress next year. They're making inroads in city councils and state legislatures. The DSA is the enemy, okay? And contrary to what these anti-Israel people say, they say left and right is an artificial divide. That is not true. That is something promoted by the left when they want you to go along with their agenda. I noticed that people like the Young Turks and Max Blumenthal and the rest of them, these are all leftists. They say, let's not focus on the culture war. Right and left is a fake divide. And you go, really? So does that mean you support mass deportations then? And they say, no, we hate ICE. We hate ICE, we're against ICE, and we want open borders. And you go, okay, well, that's actually a real divide.
That's a deal breaker.
That's not a fake culture war issue. That's a real divide. You just call it fake because you want the right to shut up about the things that matter to us. And we're supposed to rally around your pro-feminist, pro-crime, pro-open borders agenda because you're going to take the mantle of Israel criticism and politics? I don't think so.
Damn right.
So no, it's in New York. It's in Colorado this past week. The DSA is making gains, and make no mistake about it. Look at the Senate candidate in Texas. These people are satanic. They want America to be destroyed, just in a different way. You saw Zohran Mamdani's address on the 250th anniversary of our country, and he's talking about the dirt-streaked hands of the working man. He's a communist, flanked by not a single white person, surrounded on all sides by mystery meat mix of foreigners pushing this Marxist agenda. And all of us are supposed to shut up and go along with it because they're against Israel? Fuck that. And you know what I believe? I think that as the radical left goes more radical, in a way, that's actually a good thing. Because what that will create is a situation where there's actually a need for a radical right. Be careful what you wish for. You want to create your DSA party of anti-white communists coming to take everything from the white man? Be careful what you wish for. Look at how that has played out in history. What happens when the communists get out of control? There's always an immune response. But that's what we need to be. I'm not signing up with Antifa and the DSA and fucking Ilhan Omar because she's anti-Israel. She's the other side of the same coin. She hates this country just as much as Rabbi Mizrahi. She hates this country as much as Randy Fine. She goes in and says, death to America. She wants to support her people in Somaliland or Somalia or whatever. It's the same thing. She says she's disgusted by our country. It's the same thing. So we need to be the radical right. I'm not signing up with Ilhan Omar and Zohran Mamdani and Hassan Piker, these absolute scumbags. These are human garbage. You see Hassan Piker dancing, making fun of Charlie Kirk? Hassan Piker knew Charlie Kirk. They texted, they debated, they met in real life. He dances after that person died. That's who they are. Charlie Kirk debated these people. That was his problem. He showed up to debate him. They shot him. They laughed about it.
Nick,
that was his problem.
You debated Hassan Piker and Destiny with Carl Benjamin at the same time. You and Carl debated them too. You debated all the same people that Kirk did.
Problem. We're not going to be like that. We're not debating them. So anyway, so that's the situation with Sneeko. He's going down a dark path, but you know what? We always knew that was going to be the case because he always had this chip on his shoulder
and
about
why
white
were you
people.
friends?
Always knew it was going to go that way.
Really?
Because in his mind, he just never wanted to be an Uncle Tom. That's really what it always was. He talks to Myron's brother, Myron, who's a dear friend of mine. Myron's brother, who's a Muslim, went on Sneeko's stream, and to his credit, the brother said, don't be doing the call to prayer in Times Square. That's provocative. He said, and that's going to backfire. He said, the prayer belongs in the mosque.
Yeah, and you're praying in public, you jackass. You're doing it to virtue signal. And not only that, you're making the block hot some Muslims just want to live their life and get on with things. They don't want to stir the pot. They just want to live their life, have their children, because there is a place here for that. They can do that. No, nobody has a problem with people keeping their head down and just putting their nose to the grindstone and doing their thing. That's the point. It's these assholes that they see. It's like a scheme. They see a path to power, a path to fame by trying to shove race communism down our throats.
He said, all you're doing when you go and pray in public is you're antagonizing people, you're provoking people. And he's totally right. He's totally right. Nobody would have a problem, or I would say maybe fewer people would have a problem if they did it in the mosque like everybody else does in their respective house of worship. But you go in the street, that's a challenge. That's a statement. And Sneako's response to that was, you want to be white so bad.
Wow.
You want to be white so bad.
Bro, that's
that tells
shaming.
you everything you need to know.
What a bitch. Bro, that's shaming. He's trying to shame that Muslim and that black guy from having his own opinion. Literally. Oh, you don't agree with me? You have your own opinion? You want to live here in peace? Well, you're a sellout. You're a coon. You're an Uncle Tom. What a piece of scum, man.
And what's so bad about being white? What's your problem with that? Too much going to the moon, too much technological dominance, too many Nobel Prizes, too much building the country that you fucking sleep, eat, work, and play in, you clown.
Too much.
What's so bad about being white? He wants to be white so bad. Yeah, I think everybody should aspire to be a little bit more white, actually. If you look at the record of history, no, you don't want to be white. You got a problem with whites. You just want to live in countries that white men built, use technology white men invented, in a legal system that white men fought and died to uphold because its sense of justice creates prosperity and peace. Yeah, but you want to pretend like you're Malcolm X. You want to be black so bad, go and live in Africa then with the other Africans. They'll never do it. They'll never do it. They'll throw shade. They'll throw these snide little remarks. They secretly harbor this resentment. They think they're better. They got something to say about everything. But you know as well as I do that if we put them on a plane to Haiti or Africa, you would have to drag them by their ankles, screaming and crying, because they will never leave this country because it's too good. And that's all you need to know. So anyway, I've really had enough with the third worldism, the Muslim thing. That was a coalition that made sense 2 years ago, but it doesn't anymore. And it's time to move past that. And same thing with all these countries. Venezuela. I see, you see Jackson Dinkle in Iran saying death to America. He should be drone striked by Trump for that. This guy grows up a privileged white kid in California. He starts LARPing as some kind of communist revolutionary. Now he's in Iran saying, destroy America. I get it if the Iranians say it. And on some level, you can't even necessarily hold it against them. We're in a war with Iran. If you're in a war with a country and they say, hey, destroy our enemy, okay, well, we tried to destroy you. We killed your leader. You were born in this country. You're a fifth-generation American. This country gave you everything you have, all the opportunities, all the memories, all the love that made you what you are. You go to some other country, a country we're at war with, and you say, destroy America. He should be drone striked by Trump. He should never make it home. That should have been the case when he went to Venezuela, should have been the case when he went to Burkina Faso. These people are now the enemy. Okay, this left-wing Islam, this third world alliance, they're the enemy. I'm not okay with Zionists either. Still, it's not, I didn't change my opinion on that, by the way. We can't be in league with Randy Fine and Laura Loomer. These people are psychotic. They want us to die in the eschaton. They want the church to be destroyed so they could get their menorah from 2,000 years ago. I'm still not okay with that. But these other people, they're just the other side of the same coin. So we need something a little bit different, a little bit of a different flavor. Time for another night for Americans. 250 was a night for Americans. It was clarifying. So anyway, so that's that. I saw that with Sneako, and it makes me lose my mind. It makes my blood boil, because that's what I got into this for. When I see the fireworks on the 4th of July, when I watch the movie about George Washington, it brings a tear to my eye. This is the greatest country in the history of the world. This is my home. This is the only country we've ever known. This is a just and decent country. This is God's country. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out then. This country is being destroyed because it's full of people that are either completely indifferent or hostile to it. And it's going to die if the people that actually care about it don't stand up and defend it like it matters with a religious conviction. So, anyway, that's that. I do want to move on, though. I want to get into our news here. And our first story is about Patriot Front, shifting gears a little bit. And maybe this is going to seem a little bit contradictory, but on that note, I want to get into this big rally by Patriot Front over the weekend, which I'm sure you've all seen. Patriot Front, the white nationalist organization, held a major choreographed demonstration in D.C. on the 4th of July for America 250. It caused a lot of buzz, a lot of headlines. Everybody was talking about it. Usual suspects were calling them feds. Republican Congresswoman Anna Perina Luna even said she's going to launch an investigation to see if they are feds. The left said they're Nazis. Now, to their credit, the demonstration was, on a technical level, extremely impressive. 400 people, they say, in total. And the group got in, did their demonstration, got out without any hitch. No violence, no drama, no problems. Nobody was arrested. As far as we know, nobody was doxxed. Got in and out very clean. And I will say, as somebody that's done events and somebody that's done not necessarily things like that, but things of a similar nature, that's really hard to do. It's really hard to get 400 people to show up anywhere in uniform, with the choreography, with the equipment, get them in, get them out, put them up in a hotel or wherever. The logistics, the details, extremely challenging and requires real expertise, technical know-how, organizational skill. And so I don't think people even really respect that enough. Maybe they underestimate how difficult that is. And so I commend them. It was a job well done. And this is a story about it. This is from Politico. It says, quote, demonstrators donning the logo and insignia of Patriot Front, a white supremacist group, were seen protesting in the Eastern Market neighborhood and on Capitol Hill on the 250th anniversary of American independence, sporting white masks, sunglasses, and Patriot Front signature tan caps. The protesters carried Confederate, Patriot Front, and upside-down U.S. flags as they marched through the Capitol. Outside Union Station, demonstrators chanted phrases including Life, Liberty, Victory, and Reclaim America, slogans used by the group. The demonstration unfolded as tourists and Americans alike flocked to the Salute to America celebration on the National Mall, which culminated in a speech by President Trump and a fireworks show lasting a record-breaking 40 minutes. So, here's the thing about this Patriot Front group. I think the messaging is basically right. I imagine that I probably agree with the members of this organization on 90% of things. And I think the overall look, American flag and all that, I think that's basically right. Here's my problem, though, with the organization. I see this big push on Twitter this weekend to rehabilitate the group. I see it's guys like Andrew Torba. It's all the usual suspects. This is awesome. This is great. These guys are real activists. These are real patriots and so on. And I certainly think that's true. I think the people in the organization, hearts are probably in the right place. Like I said, ideologically, mostly sound, let's say. I will also add, I think the charge that they are feds is basically not true. And as long as I've talked about Patriot Front over the years, and I've talked about them many times, I've always said I don't really think the group is a federal operation. I think this is a term that gets thrown around now all the time. Everybody's a fed. I get called the fed. Tucker gets called the, I call Tucker a fed. They get called, everybody gets, Alex Jones get called the fed. Everybody gets called the fed. What is the fed? Well, fed is short for federal agent, federal informant. That's what it means. And typically we say that in radical politics, we know that our intelligence and law enforcement agencies are very interested in what radical political organizations do. They try to keep them under control because the intelligence and law enforcement agencies are the arm of the Uniparty. And so in a sense, they want to make sure that we have center-right, center-left economic and foreign policy. They want to prevent the rise of an uncontrolled, radical ideological movement on either the right or the left. They also want to prevent violence, terrorism, civil conflict, things like that. And so law enforcement and intelligence has an interest in penetrating these groups to see what's going on. And so what they will do is they will send in actual law enforcement officers, undercover, double agents, and they will also take people who have a criminal record, and they will get those people to act as informants in exchange for a lighter sentence or negotiating down their criminal charges. So let's say somebody is in radical politics, they get caught up in some trouble, maybe a gun charge, battery charge, something like this. Law enforcement intelligence will come to them and say, listen, we can wipe the slate clean. All you got to do is keep doing what you're doing and let us know what's going on inside the organization. And they do this because they like to keep tabs. They like to know what's happening. They like the ability to direct or commandeer these organizations at will. They also like to serve as a honeypot for bad actors, people that might want to do violence. Federal agents or informants will try to attract those people to entrap them, and that way they can be imprisoned before they commit acts of violence or something of that nature. That's what that is. And so, when people throw around the word Fed, I think we really need to get back to what that actually means. I think that if someone is talking about political violence, that's a sign that somebody's a honeypot operation for the feds. If somebody is really nosy or has some kind of lengthy criminal background with a lot of criminal charges, but maybe not a lot of convictions, maybe mysterious legal problems that go away, things like that, that's grounds for suspicion. There's a lot of things of that nature that you might look at somebody a certain way. Now, I would say about Patriot Front, in terms of their relationship with the federal government, I would certainly doubt that the organization is mostly or run by federal operatives or informants. That being said, any organization of that size and with their politics is going to have some law enforcement penetration. That is just what always happens. The Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the 3%ers, every radical political organization that has a double or triple digit membership is always going to have at least one confidential informant because law enforcement and intelligence are just very good at what they do. So it's safe to assume that Patriot Front is probably penetrated. They probably have some level of law enforcement or intelligence penetration. And I would say that's at the minimum. At the most, you might say it's safe to assume there's somebody like that in the leadership. Possible. It's possible that high-ranking members or people in the leadership have a similar situation. I don't think you can assume that necessarily, but I think there's a likelihood that's the case also. That being said, I think this gets away from the real problem. And to me, the real problem with Patriot Front that I see is this idea of people that want to just get out and do something. And people's idea of just getting out and doing something is bad ideas. People want to get out, put on a uniform, and do a costume parade through the city, yelling slogans and giving speeches. And I see these big public spectacles, these big public demonstrations. And my question is, what is the point? I see on Twitter, everybody praising the demonstration says, finally, people are doing something. The white man is angry and has had enough, and now they're coming to reclaim America. And my question is, what is it exactly that they are doing, precisely and specifically? Because what I see them doing is meeting up in a rural area, getting dressed in their costumes, getting into U-Haul trucks and riding public transportation, showing up to a public space, marching around in circles, giving their little speech, and then going home. That's what they have done. That's what they are doing. So when people say they're doing something, finally someone is doing something, what is it that they're doing? They're doing a choreographed performance. That is what they are doing. And I guess the bigger question is, what is that really doing? If that's what they're doing, okay, I mean, we understand on its face, they're marching around, they're giving a speech, they're waving their flags, they're wearing their costumes, but what does that actually achieve? What is that directed towards? What is the goal? How does that actually produce change? And I have asked this question about every public demonstration since Charlottesville. And this is personal for me because I was at Charlottesville. I was at Charlottesville in 2017 and I got caught up in all that. And I got doxxed and I dropped out of school because of it. And I got fired from my job because of it. And I was in the front page of the Sun-Times in Chicago and I became a pariah and it ruined my career and it destroyed my social circle. And I looked at that event and I thought, what did that actually achieve? What did it actually do for anybody? And the people that put on the event, like Richard Spencer and others, Mike Enoch, they couldn't even give a straight answer. They didn't even know. They said things like, well, it's raising the public consciousness. It's raising awareness. And to me, that's just not a good enough answer. On the other hand, when you look at these public demonstrations, what are you risking? Well, every person that attends one of these public demonstrations is taking an enormous risk. They're taking a huge risk, one, because in the worst case scenario, some nut job might shoot and kill them. Some insane left-wing nut job or some black nationalist or some psycho might see them in Boston or DC or Chicago, very liberal cities, Antifa strongholds. They might go home, get a gun, and shoot these guys. So what do you do then? All these people that say, go and just do something. What are you going to tell the parents of the 22-year-old guy who wanted to go and do something and put on the Lowe's costume, put on the balaclava and the uniform? He gets shot and killed by some leftist. What do you tell his parents? That's like the worst case scenario. And that's not fear-mongering. That's a totally legitimate thing that can happen. There's other scenarios. What happens if some left-wing nut job gets in a physical altercation with these guys? Punches them in the face, provokes them, antagonizes them. And one of the members of the organization gets in a self-defense situation or maybe loses control, isn't disciplined, strikes the guy. Now you're charged with battery. Now you're doxxed, charged with battery. Now you got a civil criminal liability. By the way, this has happened. There was a case like this in Massachusetts, a case like this in Virginia. Patriot Front and its founder, Thomas Rousseau, they've got a $3 million judgment against them in Massachusetts. They got a $500,000 judgment against them in Virginia. And the judgment in Massachusetts also goes against, in Virginia, also goes against the people, rank and file members that participated in the criminal conduct. Maybe you could say at the bare minimum, like what happened in Idaho or in Texas. When they're doing a demonstration or putting up a sticker, there's always the chance that they get picked up by the cops, detained, unmasked, and then doxxed. And then what happens when you're doxxed? Now you can never work in politics again. There was a high-profile person in politics in Texas. He got doxxed, his associations with white nationalists. He lost his political seat because of this. Nobody that ever gets exposed being part of this group is ever going to work in a professional field, is ever going to be a politician, is ever going to be able to ascend inconspicuously within politics. And so if the risk when you go out and do these demonstrations is death, serious bodily injury, civil and criminal liability under a KKK statute, a RICO statute, some kind of anti-rioting law, battery, or you get doxxed, this is a very intense risk profile. Everybody that's going out to this demonstration, they're assuming the risk of being doxxed, being killed, being maimed, being charged, being sued in a civil court. And what you need to understand about activists is they're in short supply. We need every man that we can get. We need the human capital. It's actually vital to have young, energetic people that are enthusiastic, that are disciplined. We don't want to waste those people. And so my question is, if the risk profile is this, then there ought to be a very good benefit in return. The risk and reward should be commensurate. But I don't see that in this case. I see these big public spectacles that at the minimum carry severe risks for the members. And then on the other side, I think they also create this opportunity for the left and the right to vilify our side. You are giving the left a boogeyman. You're giving them literal costumed white supremacists and neo-Nazis marching through the streets, and you're basically giving them fodder to then raise up their own Antifa army.
Yeah, now they get to say, see, we told you so. We told you what they would do if Trump was in office.
You're giving them fodder to intensify the rhetoric on their side. You're giving them fodder to say that there is some kind of white supremacist takeover of the city. And some people might say, well, maybe that's a necessary precondition to accelerate a certain confrontation. Well, I would say that the difference is the left-wing shock troops actually have institutional backing. If a Patriot Front guy gets in trouble, he is actually going to get in more trouble from a right-wing Republican government because that government wants to make an example out of that guy. You're not only not going to get protection from Republicans, you're going to get shafted by Republicans. You're going to get shafted by Democrats. The Democrat shock troops are protected. They don't get prosecuted by the right. And the left has bail funds, and they have friendly judges and friendly prosecutors and attorneys and so on. And they'll never see the inside of a jail cell. They'll never see the consequences of their actions. So you're just barking up the wrong tree, in my view. Now, some people say that Patriot Front does charity work. Great. They say Patriot Front does fraternal activities, like they do boxing matches and they do hiking and they do book clubs. Great. And I hear they even do electioneering. They do door knocking. They do phone banking. I hear they've organized some parallel structure where they can arrange for their members to get jobs, blue-collar jobs, if they're doxxed. I think that's great, too. This is all great. Just do that. Just do that, then. People say, wait, but they're great. They do charity, and they have this network of businesses that hires our guys, and they do door knocking and phone banking, and they do these fight clubs, and they do this and that. Okay, great. That's all great. Just do that. No one would have a problem if you just did that. Nobody would have a problem. Fox News wouldn't have a problem, couldn't have a problem. Laura Ingraham wouldn't have a problem, couldn't have a problem. Who could have a problem with that? Hi, we're the Patriot Front. We're an organization of common sense, patriotic Americans. We're against immigration. We love our heritage. We're nationalist. We help our community with charity. We study our American history. We like to look at our beautiful American country. We look at the environment, and we try to get like-minded people elected. Literally, who would have a problem with that? But that's not the issue. The issue is, let's dress up in costumes, LARPing like the brown shirts. Let's wave a flag with the fascies on it. Let's wave an American flag with the fascies on it. Gee, I wonder what that is. You're literally marching around saying those Jews and Africans and Mexicans, and we're raising up a banner of fascism to reclaim America for whites only. And you're doing it in costumes. You're doing it in a working class role play costume, like the brown shirts, like some kind of fascist militia from the 30s. Everybody knows what you're getting at there. It's not subtle. It's not discreet. Everybody knows what that's gesturing towards. They're gesturing towards, we're the brown shirt militia of America. We're the working class brown shirt militia of America. We're fascists. And I just don't think that's a good idea. I think that's asking for trouble, and I think that's just not how the war is fought in the 21st century. I think that we're just not at that point yet. We're not at a critical mass yet where that does anything other than invite unnecessary scrutiny and problems and vilifies people unnecessarily. So like I said, it's no shade. I mean, I'm sure the guys in there are well-meaning. Like I said, I probably agree with them on 90% of things. Is it better to see that than BLM? Absolutely. But I also don't think that's really the best way to organize. I think if people really want to do something, then the first thing you could do is stop being self-indulgent. Dressing up in a costume so you could feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself is self-indulgent. It's vanity. I'm sure, and I'm not trying to be nasty when I say this, but I'm sure a lot of the people in Patriot Front, I'm sure they get a real big kick out of putting on their whole uniform, assembling their whole uniform and looking in the mirror and saying, I look like an army man. And I'm sure they get a real big kick out of singing their songs all the way in the U-Haul van to the DC rally. Here I am. I'm in my uniform. I'm with my boys. We're on the 4th of July. This is so much fun. And I'm sure they get out there, and when the cameras are on them and they see the outrage and they see the coverage, I'm sure they get a little bit of a kick out of this idea that on that day, I was the rock star. I was a part of the thing that everyone was talking about. I was a spectacle. Everyone was looking at us that day. We did something. And then we had our big bonfire and we raised a glass and we toasted our epic rally. And you know what? I get it, but that is self-indulgent. What is that doing for the country? I know what it's doing for people psychologically. What is that doing for the country? You want to do something, put your vanity, your sentimentalism, your emotions, put that aside. You want to do something, get involved in politics. Get involved in politics with normal people, build a network, go to your young Republicans, college Republicans, go to an elite university, make a lot of money, infiltrate the private sector. You know what helps our movement? Billionaires, people with hundreds of millions of dollars. The American Revolution did not start actually with just a bunch of farmers and workers. The founding fathers were the richest people in the country at the time. They were lawyers. They were educated. Okay? They were Renaissance men. You want to fund the revolution? You want to build the revolution? Go to Harvard, become a lawyer. Go to Stanford, become a billionaire, become some tech entrepreneur, make $100 million. If you can't do that, join up in party politics, try to get elected, try to help somebody else get elected. Go work in the Trump administration, build up a resume. It's a mass democracy in an industrial technological society in the 21st century. That's the skill set that's required. We need an officer class of people with some bureaucratic skills, some legal skills. That's actually what is required. You want to do something? Do that. You want to do something? Make yourself sharper, richer, better. Make yourself more influential, more powerful. Build your network. It's not sexy. You don't get to put on a costume. You don't get to be in the big parade. That's literally what it is. Let's put on a costume and be in the big jamboree, be in the big parade. That's your sacrifice, is we're not going to be in a big parade. We're going to do tireless, boring, mundane work for decades with no recognition. That's a sacrifice. That's doing something. People say, well, at least they're doing something. They're doing something for themselves. It's easy. It's easy when you're feeling into it. You're feeling emotional. I think I'm going to take the leap. I think I'm going to put on the costume. I'm going to go with my bros and march around and be in the big parade, be in the big spectacle for the weekend. What is that really doing for the country? What is the sacrifice? The sacrifice is what all of you are doing, what I ask you to do on the show. I don't tell you to do nothing. I say, if you're one of the bright, intelligent men, if you care about our country, you want to get involved, build your network, build your resources, create a local cell of like-minded, normal people, and start to build power locally in your city. You know what? Patriot Front is doing it. They're doing it in Texas, okay? They're doing it where they reside. And I think if they focused on that, it'd be phenomenal. But they got to do the retard stuff. I don't like that. So that's our sacrifice. It's that tireless, boring work. It's not sexy. It's not a big performance. It's not elaborate. You will not be recognized for it necessarily. It may not even work. That's the sacrifice. That's doing something. So that's my message. And a lot of them, they get really sensitive about it because that becomes a part of their identity. I think a lot of people, they get caught up in all that. You know how it goes. It's one of those things. And you say you don't like their organization and they go, but that's who I am. I'm nothing without the uniform. If you're nothing without the uniform, you shouldn't have it. It's what it is. But anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to get into our final story for the night, our featured story about Graham Plattner. Is this one even really a big surprise? So this is our real news story for the night. I'm sure you've all heard about it, but the story finally broke. The Maine Senate Democrat who is running against Susan Collins in the state of Maine, has just been exposed in a major rape scandal. And if you've been following this race at all, if you've been following this candidate, he has had a lot of scandals. He had a scandal cheating on his wife. He had a tattoo that was a reference to the Nazis. He had some social media posts on Reddit talking about how he's a communist and we should murder capitalists. This guy's had a lot of problems and a lot of scandals and a lot of issues. Nevertheless, he won the primary. He is the Democrat nominee for that Senate seat in Maine against Susan Collins. Today, finally, the dam broke. A woman has come forward and accused him of rape for an incident that goes back to 2021. And this is a story. It's from Politico. It says, quote, a woman who dated Maine U.S. Senate candidate Graham Plattner says he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago despite her repeated objections, an allegation that Plattner denies. The woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Rassicott, detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. She said she had an on and off relationship with Plattner for more than 2 years before he entered her rural Maine home uninvited one night in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself on her while she repeatedly told him to stop. She said she cut off contact with him after telling him the encounter was not consensual. She said, quote, I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being really forceful of me. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, like, this is no longer my choice. Plattner denies the allegations. She previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Plattner to the New York Times, but says she didn't go public with the specific rape claim because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. And now she does, though. She said she was torn over coming forward in part because she agrees with Plattner politically. In the weeks after the alleged assault, she said she considered going to the police, but struggled with the shock and confusion about what had happened to her and did not file a police report. Classic. Even as time passed, she said she felt uncomfortable potentially telling a police officer about such a personal experience and feared retaliation from Plattner. At first, she confided only in her therapist, who she continues to see. And this is a shame, because Susan Collins is a terrible Republican. She's one of the worst. Always votes against Trump, is in no way, shape, or form even meaningfully right-wing. And so if any Republican needs to go, it's her. And I don't like Graham Plattner. I think he's another one of these communists and obviously a degenerate. And I'm not a big fan of his either. But Susan Collins really has got to go. She is easily one of, if not the worst Republican that's running for re-election in the Senate. And I would be ecstatic to see her lose the race and for the Republicans to lose the Senate with her. That would be phenomenal. And so it's sad to see that Graham Plattner is being destroyed over this. It's funny, though, because this is just another Me Too sex scandal, just another Me Too fake allegation.
They literally rustle one up every time they have somebody they need to get rid of. They literally they trump up some garbage scandal, you know, spouted off by some garbage, filthy strumpet. And they just snipe the guy. They just take him out. Political assassination. Bam. Gone. Bro, they are so sinister. They have no scruples.
This woman is claiming that 5 years ago, her boyfriend, who she's in a situationship with, on and off, barges into her home and starts being forceful with her. She says in an interview that what she said to him when he starts initiating sex is, my back hurts. I don't feel like it. They have sex. She doesn't even kick him out of the house. She goes to bed with him in the same bed. He stays the night. She sleeps with him in the same bed. She wakes up in the morning and says, hey. She wakes up in the morning after this traumatic rape that she needs therapy for. She wakes up. Hey, you remember what happened?
You left the door unlocked. That's what that sounds like. Not like she got taken advantage of.
Last night? That you raped me? And he goes, no, I don't remember. And then he goes home. She continues seeing him for a month later waiting to see if she's going to get pregnant because she wasn't on birth control. She continues seeing him for a month after the fact. And then when she realizes she wasn't pregnant, she says, hey, by the way, when you had sex with me all that time ago, that wasn't consensual. We're over. She later texts a friend who is interested in dating him. She says he's a charming guy, intelligent, charismatic. She goes, but he's a little recklessly consensual sometimes. Recklessly sort of consensual sometimes, she says. This is how she describes her rapist. No police report. She comes forward with the allegation years after the fact. She tells the New York Times he had inappropriate conduct, but she didn't say it was a rape until after he won the primary. And now that it looks like he might actually get the seat and win the election and become a senator, oh, now it's a rape. Okay. Now it's a rape. And so this is just one of the most ridiculous Me Too stories I've ever heard of all time. You've heard some pretty ridiculous Me Too, rape allegations, sexual assault. This one really takes the cake. So first of all, and listen, I've never had a relationship. Maybe I don't understand how this works. How is it that someone you're actively having sex with can rape you? I really don't get that. I understand if it was maybe forced or you weren't in the mood, you didn't feel like it.
The point is that she can't prove it. When you're actively having sex with somebody, they can't prove that you have raped them. They can't prove it because the ways that they prove that a woman has been raped are the same. It's the same evidence that proves that, yeah, you've been having sex together. It's the same thing. So it can't be proved. It's literally her word against his. And also the evidence. Yeah, you were actively having sex with him. You know, maybe you should be a better judge of care. I mean, like, you didn't know that this woman went about it in the worst possible way. And even if it did happen, it's like, there's nothing we can do. You've tied our hands by doing this, by withholding. We can't believe you anymore. You are an idiot. Or you're a lying strumpet.
This is a guy that she's having sex with for some time. He comes to her house drunk and has sex. I understand it made her feel uncomfortable. I understand maybe she didn't want it in that moment. But it's not like she doesn't want it overall. You're having casual sex with this guy in a non-committal way. You're in a situationship with him. Are you really going to say, well, I wasn't really feeling like it in that moment. And even though we spent the whole night together, and even though I cooked him breakfast the next morning, and even though I stayed with him the rest of the month, and even though I told my friend he's a charming guy, that actually it was a traumatic, forceful rape, I just find that really hard to believe. And so sadly, the Democrats are going to be hoisted upon their own petard. They're, once again, as always, going to lose. Just like Harvey Weinstein before this and others, Kevin Spacey, they're going to lose one of the greats, one of their heroes, because of their own ridiculous feminist Me Too witch hunt mentality. And now it looks like not only is Graham Plattner going to exit the race, everybody's calling on him to resign, including the former chair of the DNC, Chuck Schumer, the Democrat Party leadership, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna. All the major Democrats are calling for him to exit the race. He's got about another week to leave. And Democrats have, I think, until the end of the month to find a replacement. He's almost surely going to leave the race. And I think that all but guarantees that Susan Collins wins the seat. This might be the swing race that determines control over the Senate. Right now, the way it's shaking out, it could be 50-50. If it goes 50-50, the Republicans retain control because controlling the White House, they have the vice president who acts as a tiebreaker in the event of a 50-50 split. This might be the race that actually cost the Democrats not only the Senate seat in Maine, but also the Senate majority overall. Not necessarily, but it may shape out and work out that that's the case. So very sad to see, hate to see it. And like I said, I don't know that I'm necessarily rooting for Graham Plattner. I don't like him. He seems like one of these hick lib chuds. And I understand why right-wing people might be sympathetic to that because he's a white male and he has more of a gruff personality or something like that. But his politics are as bad as Zohran Mamdani. He's going to be caucusing with all these race communists. He's going to be caucusing with all the worst of the worst. He has the politics of Sneeko, basically. And so I'm not necessarily in favor of Graham Plattner. It would have been really nice, though, to see Susan Collins lose. Like I said, she's probably got among the worst records out of any Republican in the Senate. It would have been delicious if she came down in this election and it cost the Republicans.
Isn't she an independent?
And that's the only reason I would have liked to see Graham Plattner win. Not for anything that he's out there saying or doing. But that's a story. There's not really too much more to say about it. It's just another one of these rape allegations. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's just kind of hard to wrap my head around. I don't see how you're a woman, you're having sex with a guy. I don't know how then that becomes rape. Unless there's like a threat of murder involved or real threat of violence. If you're sort of saying, stop, I don't feel like it. I mean, I understand it'd be like the right thing to do to stop. I understand you're like a good guy if you go, all right, honey, fair enough. We also understand, okay, sometimes people get drunk and then they want to have sex. And I don't know, does that turn it into like, that turns into a criminal matter? Clearly not, because she didn't take it to the police.
Exactly.
If it was a true rape, she would go to the cops.
She obviously didn't feel that bad about it. I mean, I don't really believe it happened, but like the fact that her behavior and the fact that she did everything that women are told not to do. You don't do this stuff if you want to make these allegations. And it's like, I'm not going to skewer this guy for this woman after she went out of her way to make sure, you know, that we can't believe her. It's like, you were the one that withheld that stuff. You were the one that I mean, if he did it, it's on you that I'm not believing you. And it's because of what you did after, you know, I mean, you know, I don't really like the guy. It's like, you know, maybe he did do this and I don't think highly of him, you know, either. But it's like, you know, if I was on the jury, I'd be like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. I mean, you know, you guys were on cordial terms. You could have easily filed for a restraint. You could have done something, anything, document something, send yourself a letter in the mail and, you know, have it unopened, you know, that way, you know, you have it time stamped basically. I mean, it just seems ridiculous, totally absurd. And really this woman should be written off, not because I like the guy, but because it's like, you know what you're supposed to do. You know that this is not what you do if you want to be believed. This is not how you behave. And it's like, now you're not just a rape victim, a quote unquote, a supposed rape victim, but you're also a bimbo that you know, doesn't tell anybody about it, and most likely is just you know, is slandering people. Like, so now she's known as a rape victim and you know, whatever you want to call her, you know, some strumpet trying to smear a guy or trying to do whatever. She's a paid smear, paid political assassin, basically. That's how it comes off to me. And you know, by allowing her to get away with that, you're basically endorsing what she's done. And she's not a good person. Not a good person. This happens to her, she withholds it, and then brings it out at the last second. This is not a good person. Either she's lying or she did all of that stuff. She's ruining lives, and basically she doesn't give a damn about anybody else. And it's like me, you know, me. I didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Until, you know, right before he's about, you know what I mean? It's very selfish. Like, you just acted with selfishness and for yourself at every turn here. Why should we reward that? Fuck you.
But of course, that wasn't part of it at all. If it was a real rape, I don't know, maybe she would flee. You got held down and raped against your will, sexually assaulted by an out-of-control drunk maniac. After your rape, you go and be the little spoon. You go and cuddle up next to him
Make him
and fall
grits,
asleep. You then go
pancakes.
unconscious. I just got violently raped by this guy that's way bigger than me. He overpowered me against my objections. He's clearly not in the right state of mind because he's blackout drunk. I know I'm going to become unconscious in bed with this person. I'm going to drift off into a calm and relaxing, unconscious slumber with my rapist next to me. Yeah, because that makes perfect sense. If he really raped you, wouldn't you leave? If you had fear of violence, he's some kind of maniac, she could have refused the sex. Maybe she's implying she was afraid he would get violent. Okay, if you're really in fear, if this is really coercive, why didn't you then just leave? I don't know about you guys. If I was being held down and raped against my will, I would leave.
Against his will.
If someone raped me and it's like, oh, I hope I don't die. If someone held a gun to my head and raped me and then they drifted off to sleep, I would be like, now's my chance. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Obviously. In any scenario, if you're crying and violently being raped, there's a threat of being killed or beaten up or severely maimed. That's your opportunity. Oh, thank God, he drifted off to sleep. Now's my chance to escape. I would simply walk out the door and go anywhere else, probably to the police. I would probably then go to the police and say, hey, I just escaped a brutal, violent rape. It happened here. He's asleep. Get him. Get him now. Like, that's probably what I would do if I were in that situation. But she got violently raped and then curled up next to him like this. And then promptly, I don't know about you, I can't sleep when I'm in a bed by myself. I turn off the lights, I read my book, I go under the covers, and then I still have difficulty sleeping. I can't relax. You just got raped. You're in bed with the guy that did it, and you're like, oh, that was exhausting. Time to go to bed. I'll deal with this tomorrow. Wake up and then have pillow talk about it. Hey, hon, so you remember what happened last night? Yeah, you raped me. Yeah, I'm going to ruin your life in five.
Like
I'm going to fucking ruin your life in 5 years. He wakes up next to him. Hey, oh, remember last night? No? Yeah, you raped me violently. Yeah, I didn't consent to that. Then she keeps dating him for a month. She doesn't tell anybody.
Just in case she's pregnant with his kid. That's odd. That's like super odd.
About it for 5 years. She tells the New York Times, doesn't say it was a rape, tells Politico a few weeks later. Such bullshit. Not like this, Graham. You survived so much. Graham Plattner survived cheating on his wife with multiple women, having a swastika tattoo.
What a scumbag.
What did he have? A Totenkopf or something? He had like one of the like
He had
Nazi
the
symbols.
death's head.
He had a Nazi tattoo.
He had the skull that goes on the SS, is it peaked cap?
Tattoo. Cheated on his wife with multiple women. He's got these old Reddit posts talking about murdering his political opponents. He literally ran the table. As a Democrat, how do you have a Nazi tattoo talking about murdering people and cheating on your wife? You're a Democrat. You're 3 for 3. And ultimately what brings you down is like the most BS rape allegation of all time. Not like this, Graham. Not like this. But you know what? This is what happens when low human capital runs for office. You know? The guy's like an oyster shucker. And no shade on the oyster people. It's like that's their business in Maine. It's fishing and logging is all that they do over there. No shade. But here's the problem with populism. You run like a regular guy and he's a... Like that's what happened. Democrats and Republicans go, why don't we just find some everyman? Enough of these sociopathic politicians that were groomed from birth to be the president. Why don't we just find some everyman that tells it like it is? Okay, if you throw a rock in a crowd of people like that, you're going to hit a rapist. You're going to hit a rapist, somebody that has some Nazi political ideology, somebody that talked about murdering people on the internet in 2020. That's just who it is. That's who we are. That's our country. That's just who you're going to find. There was like, who is that black guy that ran for governor in North Carolina? You remember that whole situation? He had like some kind of Nazi race play thing going on for years and years. You had Gillum in Florida who was addicted to meth. This is just who we are. It's just, that's our country. You know, of, by, and for the people. Hey, careful what you wish for. That's Graham Plattner. Hey, how about this oyster guy? He's pretty handsome. He's a Marine, regular fisherman, just like the rest of the Mainers. Talks good, you know. He has the support of the unions, okay? Well, he's got a Nazi tattoo. He raped a girl once, cheated on his wife 3 times, talked about murdering people on Reddit in 2020. Yeah, I don't know. On second thought, let's just stick with the guy from Goldman Sachs. Let's just stick with another investment banker, private equity guy or something. Anyway, so not like this, Graham, not like this. But hey, you know what? He kept it too real to run for office. Did you see the woman also? For him to be taken down by her is crazy. I'll just say that much. All right, but we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. And tomorrow, I think we'll probably get a little bit into the situation in Iran. I wanted to talk about it tonight, but I know you guys are exhausted by all that. You don't want to hear about it anymore. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what we got here. Let me get set up. Whoops. All right. Here's still fucked up or whatever. All right. We gotta do something about this hair one of these days. Okay, let's see.
Devin Motti sent $20. Clav Mox.
True, very true.
Dream sent $30. I want to submit my formal apology form. I didn't listen and thought we'd have mass deportations. Got the GOP.
Well,
Sorry, Führer.
well, yep. That's okay, you know. That happens.
Matt Nagler sent
First
$25.
time.
The e-girl segment and then Sneeko crying made me realize that Sneeko is an e-girl. He fully has the spirit of a woman.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like that. He's like a BPD chick. He has the unstable sense of identity. That's the one I don't have. Keith Woods was kind of going through the list for me. We were in Rome, and he was like, you have all the symptoms of a cluster B personality disorder. I was like fucking what? What does that even mean? And he goes, unstable sense of personality. I'm like, I know exactly who I am. Next. And then he's like, crashing out on people after 24 hours. I'm like, okay, guilty as charged. Next. He's like, I forget all the other ones, but he was like, total. And I was like, no, but that's the one I don't have. So he's like a BPD chick. He's like a cluster B psychopath. Honestly, he should be deported.
Algerian Groip sent $20. What do you think is the most symbolic delegation at Khamenei funeral? And what is the message sent by the Saudis for being there?
The most symbolic delegation? It's all bullshit, dude. You know, look, can these Muslims just win the war already? It's always this nonsense like, you ever notice with the Muslims, they're like, goodness gracious, they just raised a red flag of revenge. Oh boy, Israel's fucked now. It's like, I don't know, why don't you send 1,000 ballistic missiles at them instead? You know, like they go. There'll be an update from like Middle East Observer. They're like, holy fuck. Did you see what just happened? Iran just raised a red flag of revenge. Oh boy, Israel's gonna pay. And you go, you know what? On second thought, I think I'd prefer if they launched a salvo of 1,000 ballistic missiles at the same time at Tel Aviv. I think that would do a little bit more damage, to tell you the truth. So they're always doing stuff like that. They're like, oh boy, the Ayatollah went to Qom. The Ayatollah, for fuck's sake. Oh my gosh, Bismillah. The Ayatollah just went to Qom in a rare visit to one of the holy sites. Oh man, the Israelis are really going to have it. They just declared True Promise 11. They just declared True Promise 12, Too Fast, Too Furious, and they raised the red flag of revenge. It's like, okay, less of that, more missiles, please. Less of that, more ballistic missiles in one go at Israel. What is the most symbolic delegation? It's like their top guy gets murdered like a dog. And they're like, yeah, well, just wait until you see who goes to the funeral and what verse we play when they show up. You just fucking wait. Yeah, okay. The Israelis may have nuclear bombs. The Americans have aircraft carriers. Maybe we're outgunned and outmanned. But just wait until you see who shows up to the funeral and what verse of the Quran we play when they walk across the stage. Everyone's going to catch the double entendre. Everyone's going to catch the metaphor. Did you see that? That's literally, they're like so the Saudis, the Turks, the Yemenis, the Qataris, Emiratis, they all were in attendance, and they all walked across the stage, and they played like a verse of the Quran for each of them that was supposed to have like this deep meaning. Like for the delegation from Hamas, they played some verse about how the martyrs will be rewarded. There'll be more martyrs. And for the Saudis, they played a verse about how, some of the Muslims were faithful and some of them weren't. And it's like, dude, just yeah. More missiles, more drones. Make a nuke already. Do something. Yeah. Make a nuke, please. Just put the nuclear bombs in the bag, please. So who gives a shit? What was the most symbolic delegation at the Khamenei funeral? Honestly. What was the message sent by the Saudis being there? Who knows? Who cares?
The Octagon enthusiast sent $25. Hey, Nick, hope you had a...
They're all treacherous. It's all bullshit. They don't mean anything they say. They're all treacherous. They're all backstabbing each other. The Saudis are letting the Americans use their land to launch attacks against Iran, and then they go to the funeral.
The Octagon enthusiast sent $25. Hey, Nick, hope you had a great 4th of July with the fam. Thoughts on the Young Washington movie if you saw it? Love you, King.
It sucked. It totally... Look, I like that they did it, and I wanted to like it a lot, but it was terrible. It was terrible. It was just like one of these like made-for-TV History Channel dramatization type movies. It was so corny. And I realized that the second I walked into the theaters. It's like the second the movie started, I'm like, oh, so that's what this is going to be. Great. Now I'm going to be here for 2 more hours. I was going to walk out. I was with people. So, yeah, 2 hours of just like the most predictable slop you've ever seen. George, don't ride into battle. It's too dangerous. What could be worth the danger? Just be a coward and retreat if the battle is lost. I have to do it for my men. George, the world is a certain way. You're never going to be president. Well, maybe someone should change the world. Maybe someone should have an American revolution. It's like, dude, it's so corny. So corny. So lame. I wanted to like it. I love George Washington. I love that story about the French and Indian War. I wanted to like it, but it just sucked. And it wasn't even that kino. It didn't look that good. It's one of these movies where it's all gray. Everything's gray. So I'm sorry to report. It was lame. It was one of these like Fox News made for TV, God's Not Dead movies. It's from the same studio that made Sound of Freedom. From the studio that brought you The Sound of Freedom and Obama 2020. From the studio that brought you Clinton Cash, America, Imagine the World Without Her, The Sound of Freedom, and God's Not Dead comes a brand new It's like I should have known. I didn't do my research. I should have known. Yeah, it was goofy. It's a shame because I love movies like that, but it was just sucked.
Ellen sent $25. Nick, I made a 1-minute Michael Jackson, Nick Fuentes mashup over at Catholics Against Militarism. I hope you like it.
That sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Sorry. A Michael Jackson, Nick Fuentes mashup at Catholics Against I'm a Catholic in favor of militarism. What? I'm a Catholic. Have you watched the show? I want more colonies. I'm a Catholic in favor of militarization of our borders, of our colonies, of our hemisphere, of the World Cup. What are you talking about?
Classical Trump sent $50. There are no social spaces left for clean, thin white people anymore. Even tennis clubs are all Indians now.
Dude, I know.
Should we make our own spaces? Maybe using a referral system to indirectly filter people.
It would just be filled with shitty people. If you made anything like that, it would just be dominated by ugly fatties who are like, finally, a place where there's no Indians. And it would be like a bunch of fat, disgusting pigs. There is a place like that. It's called Be Rich. Okay, you want to live in like you want to live in a social space for clean, thin white people? It's called Be Really Rich. I'm not even talking about me. I'm talking like be generationally wealthy. Live in Martha's Vineyard. Live in the North Shore. Be really rich, because those people, they got it made. They're all white. It's like a Klan rally. I mean, look at their 4th of July. It's blinding how white they are. It's us poor, broke losers that have to slum it with the foreign hordes. So, at Oak Street Beach with the niggers and the faggots smoking pot, for crying out loud. You know, that's how it is. Lake Forest Beach, they don't have that problem. Like Glen Cove, Lake Forest, they don't have that problem. Oak Street Beach, 31st Street Pier. God in heaven. It's like, holy. So, yeah. So you want to be around clean, thin white people? It's called, bro, be rich. Like, have a rich dad. Have a hot mom and a rich dad. It's cooked. Maybe we should make our own space. Yeah. Oh. The only thing worse than what we have would be that, because it would just be a bunch of disgusting chuds. Ugh. Yeah, we live in hell. It's okay.
Rand sent $20. Thanks.
Thanks.
Amy Barrett's Haitian pet sent $20. If Sneeko was just a few shades lighter, he wouldn't be doing any of this brown clownery. Pathetic fool has no idea who he is.
That's true. Very true.
Amy Barrett's Haitian pet sent $20. Sneeko is why the Jews will never lose the boomers. Imagine siding with that guy. He almost makes me want to be a Zionist.
Almost.
EU Groy sent $20. Norway's immigration office Sudi is planning on taking in 1 million refugees over the next 5 to 10 years. Norway's pop, 5.2 mil.
Unreal, man. Terrible.
Feminifidi sent $1,000. Bummer to hear about your 4th of July. I went to see the fireworks at Navy Pier once years ago. Someone started shooting. I almost got pushed into the water and then run over by a stampede trying to escape. News didn't report on it either.
Well, thank you for the huge super chat. I really appreciate it. 07 to one of our favorite Groy bets of all time. Thank you so much, Femina Fides. We love you. We love you. One of the top Groy bets of the movement. Yeah, I went to the fireworks at Navy Pier, and oh my gosh, I drove there. The cops are idiots, and they had the whole thing shut down. No one knew what was going on. I'm trying to get to my parking, which I booked in advance, like a good goy. And they closed down all the roads to get to it. And I'm asking these cops, where do I go? Well, I don't know what's going on. It's a clusterfuck. That's what some female cop told me. Another female cop, I don't know what's going on. I'm like stuck in bumper to bumper. It's a parking lot for like 2 hours, not moving at all. Finally, I get to where my parking is, and this cocksucking pig says, yo, that's the last car. You can't go down this street. And I lost my mind. And then, okay, so it's like this big disaster. I finally get to the Navy Pier. I walk all the way down the pier, and the fog was so thick you couldn't see the fireworks at all, not even a little bit. I'm like, really? But whatever. It was fine. It was fine. It was whatever. But like, yeah, that was pretty disappointing. No fireworks, but there, you know, it was kind of vibey anyway. The fog was a vibe. We hung out anyway, but yeah, sucked. Thank you for the big super chat, though.
Roadster sent $20. I love America. Hope you had a great weekend.
Me too. Thanks,
Noisy
man.
95 sent $20. Deport Sneeko.
Yes.
Mestizo sent
Deport
$20.
Sneeko.
Were we deporting that mud anyway? Israel, Haiti, or Philippines?
Palestine. Send him to Gaza. Send Sneeko to Gaza. Exile Gaza.
Truth sent $111. This is not trust.
Yo!
This is truth. In God we trust.
Thanks for the big super chat.
Mr. Fecal Matter
Appreciate
sent
it.
$50. Ironic that PF slams Grow-Wipers for focusing their presence online when the only reason their demonstration was acknowledged in masses because of Twitter/ig.
Exactly. And the arguments will be made online, and the reputation is built online. You know, it's like they want to do their demonstrations, and then they get mad when they get cast as federal agents. It's like, it's almost like controlling the media is key to controlling the narrative. It's almost like maybe that's more important because, you know, that is actually where, you know, media is plural for medium. It's medium of communication for every human being on earth.
The message
It's almost
is
like
the
it's better
medium.
to be there than in some street corner.
Duplicitous Groiper
medium
sent
is the
$20.
message.
True Dark Triad would have said yes, the Jews did kill Charlie Kirk because he was 2 weeks away from becoming a Groiper.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
But
Ryan
also
Jenny
would have
sent
been
$20.
wrong.
Liked your interview with Myron but vehemently disagreed with his take that people with low IQs should be automatically enslaved. Unfortunately, a lot of Muslims have similar ideologies like that.
Yeah, I don't think that was really a serious proposal.
Canadian Crusader sent $50. I had a vision. The eyes of all true Canadians were opened. The spirit of freedom descended on Parliament Hill, and the next phase of our manifest destiny was complete. So the war was won after all.
Okay.
Mark sent $1,000.
Yo, thanks for the huge super chat. 07's for Mark. Thank you for the giant super chat and no message. That's the best kind, truly. That's a true patriot. That's a no message Marine. God bless you, man. Thank you for all the support. 07's in
Praise
the
him
chat.
sent $50.
Appreciate
Visited
you.
a cousin in SF for the 4th. No patriotism at all in the city. We were the only ones in USA gear in crowds of thousands. Even got into a fight because of it.
Really?
Truly was a foreigner in my own country.
Yeah, well, that's San Francisco, man. Niggas be like, I was in San Francisco and it was very diverse. Like, yep.
Mother Fister
True.
sent $22. JSTF you dude. Ohio first.
Huh?
Yosef Mizrahi sent $100. OPT lets 400K plus foreign grads work in the US yearly. No cap, no wage floor, no labor test. Scam master's degree mills sell visas. Exempt from payroll
True.
tax too. They stopped publishing stats right after Trump took office.
True.
H-1B restrictions are useless. The country's flooded with OPT instead.
True, that is one of the worst programs. Thank you for the big super chat and the info.
River Forest Grower sent $21.
Hey! No message. Come on, you gotta at least have a message. That's crazy. The old River Forest Groiper, the goat. Did the goat of River Forest just bless the stream? Yeah. W edit, by the way. W edit. That was a good one. King.
Pumpkin.
This guy, I think I know
Pumpkin
this
Man
guy.
sent $20, which is more a Jewish golem to destroy white America. Blacks, Muslims, or Indians?
Really? What are these questions? I really never understand. What's the biggest Jewish golem? Is it blacks, Muslims, or Indians? Like, why does... Okay, like, what are we doing? It's just like a would you rather question. That's like a Big Bang Theory, like, comic book question. Who would win in a battle? Green Lantern or Thanos? Like, really? Which is more of a Jewish golem to destroy the white race? Wax, Muslims, or Indians? Like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck
Vader
up.
Groy sent $50. RIP right-wing finance. You were right, it's always the people who do nothing, who attack the few people who do something. No more infighting, please.
Look,
Folded hands emoji.
I don't even know what happened there. I don't even know what, but bro was like replying way too much to me. I followed him and then he was replying to every one of my tweets. He was all my notifications. I was like, bro, relax.
Hidden Groy sent $20. Right-wing finance got shouted out and didn't even last 4 days on Twitter. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. You got to be able to hang in there.
FFF sent $20. Last 30 days, a rabbi gets shot by a cop outside the Pornhub HQ. The first trillionaire is a white man, and the viral Patriot Front lady caught fingering herself on the subway. We live a fever dream.
I don't know, man. It's just kind of a series of unrelated events. It's a big world. Lots of things are happening. It's just like three unrelated things that have nothing to do with each other, and there's not even like any superficial similarity there. The first trillion is a white man. Like, what is, okay, like, obviously, who else would it be? Who would be the first trillion other than a white man? Who are all the billionaires other than white men and Jews? It's like Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, okay, like, and a black woman is a criminal? Oh, I'm shocked. Shocked.
Cal Breezy sent $20. What's your thoughts, Stu Peters? I've noticed he often criticizes you. My boss listens to him often and shuts out over you.
He's an idiot. He's just a complete idiot. What more is there to say?
Insect Groy sent $20. Cousin is married, beautiful, smart and modest, but carries a gene with a 40% risk of a baby with retardation. Advice?
Yeah, don't have kids.
DFW Groy sent $250. Went to church for the first time in 11 years last weekend because of you. First Catholic Mass ever. Went back a second time this past weekend. We sang the Star Spangled Banner at the end.
Wow.
It gave me chills. Thank you, Chief, and God bless you.
Love that. Thank you for the big super chat. I'm glad you went. And I'm glad that it was actually a good experience. I know a lot of people go to church and they're like, my priest told me about immigration. So I'm glad you had a good experience. Love to hear that, man. Keep it up. Thank you for the big super chat.
2026 Nick Moggs 2025 Nick sent $20. Illegals can open a bank account without proof of legal migration status.
That's
They
true.
were never serious about mass deportations.
You're right. 2026 Nick does Mog 2020. Look at the glow up is insane. And I'm just getting started. Honestly, it's just getting started. I just got to figure out what I'm doing with my hair. Hair's a little crazy. What am I going to do with it? Yeah, I don't know. The texture's just not right. And the length, maybe. But yeah, we're getting there. The ascension is in progress. I haven't even reached my final form yet, you guys. And I haven't even reached my final form. Just you wait. Oh, just wait.
Locked in Grow I percent $100. Hey Nick, I don't think you know how much this movement has done for young men like me, my friends, and this generation. It pushed me back into the gym, to read more. I even got into a big state school to pursue engineering, and eventually military service. Still a skinny chud for now. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the big super chat. Appreciate it. Love to hear it, man. Gym, state school, engineering, you know, the military. I don't know about all that. Where do you get that? I don't think I ever said on the show, join the military. I think I said, like, get rich. Now, if you join the military as like an officer and then you get into like a advanced degree program off of that, maybe that makes sense, but like, I don't know about all that.
American Grow I percent $25. Did you see the leaked Pusa text where a former staffer was trying to get Charlie Kirk to debate you in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, is that really noteworthy? Some guy said, maybe he should debate Nick, and they said, nah. It's kind of fairly predictable, right?
If Coach sent $20, did you see Tucker is back to running cover for Trump?
No.
Just the other day he said Trump has soured on Mark Levin and the Zionists, and that Trump knows he made a mistake, Chloe. The grip never ends.
Well.
Bristol sent $20. Echelon poll of Republicans age 18 to 34. 34% have a favorable view of you, 16% unfavorable, 27% no opinion, 22% never heard of.
Whoa, is that real? 34%? Hey, all right. That's pretty good. You know, that's pretty good. Okay, I'll take it. 34%. Nice. I certainly feel it in the streets. People love me. Everywhere I go, it's like a hero's welcome. So,
Ballard Merck sent $50. In the debate between you and us, he tries disproving race realism by saying the Slavs industrialized in 10 years and then says 10k years isn't enough time for Africans to develop a written language. Lamau.
Nice. Good point.
Carmelo's Death Grower percent $20. Isn't it funny that crypto leftists LARPing like white nationalists love the leftist protesting style of Patriot Front?
I don't think they're crypto. What? Oh, you mean like who? Who's an example of a crypto leftist LARPing as a white nationalist? You got to be more specific. I don't know what you're talking about.
Kazak sent $100. What's a good book to read? Ha, just kidding. Tell me, burger versus pizza and why? Hair is looking thick and nice.
I don't know, man. It depends. I mean, I like them both. Impossible to pick. I love burgers. I love pizza. I probably go pizza. Because I like carbs. That's my favorite. Like for me, the highlight is always the French fries, the mashed potatoes, the pasta, anything with cheese. That's my preference. You know, I got barbecue over the weekend. I got barbecue with the niggas. And I got pulled pork. I got mac and cheese, cornbread, cake. And I ate all the sides. I didn't even touch the meat. Pause. Wait a second. Pause. No, but I ate I ate the mac and cheese immediately, ate all the cornbread, ate all the cake. I think I had like 2 bites of the pulled pork. I was like, I don't want the rest. Cheese and bread. What could be better than this? Bread and cheese. I'll go to a restaurant. I'll get the bread. I'll get the mozzarella sticks. I'll get the pizza, pasta. I'll get the burrata or like the goat cheese with bread or something like that. I'll get a cookie for dessert. This is what it's all about. I don't really like meat that much. I like meat. I like it okay. I like a beef sandwich, like a hot dog, like a burger. But for me, it's not the main event. What I really look forward to is the French fries, not the burger. The mashed potatoes, not the steak. That's just me. That's just a little bit about me. It's just a little quirky thing about me. You asked. People go, who cares? It's like, hey, you asked. A little quirky, fun fact about me. So
Kazak sent $20. Yeah. Did you see the Obama air guitar and leaving Biden on stage to say my granddaughter and then they cut it off? If not, watch haha funny.
The Obama air guitar was kind of sick. It's low-key kind of sick. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh, backsaw.
We don't have to hate on him for no reason. The Obama air guitar was sick as fuck. He's so clean with it.
Backsauce sent $200.
We can't hate for no
TC's
reason.
proxy for growing Israel critical movement in the GOP, poaching TC's base of ex-Fox loyalists and young MAGA defectors. He'll use dollar from Gulf/Little Tech to offset pullback from Jewish dollar.
Yeah, 100% correct. Thanks for the big super chat. You have it. You are on the money. That is precisely what is happening.
Nevada Grower percent $20. I was in a group chat where there are some leftists. They were glazing Mehdi Hassan for his debate against the AFD leader, and they were saying Mehdi would kill you in a debate. Mehdi is King Brown Clown.
He is. He's the ultimate brown clown. So yeah.
Lysol sent $100.
Thanks for the big super chat. No message.
Lady
Beautiful.
Tima sent $20. 26 years / a white nigga watching live from Melbourne, Australia.
Nice.
Absolutely love you the show.
Thanks.
Why is Sneeko so ugly?
I don't know, man, but he's chopped. He's seriously descending. It's getting rough.
My dad left sent.
He looks like shit. He looks like he's not sleeping. I would feel bad for him if he wasn't my mortal enemy now. But he looks like he's not sleeping. He looks like shit. We're clearly getting to him, so keep pushing. Yeah, he looks terrible. If he looks like gaunt and he's not looking good. It's clearly getting to him because he can't stand being hated. Me, I don't care. Some people that really bothers them. Sneako's one of these people, like people's opinion of him affects him deeply, especially his community and the culture. Well, I was trying to think, what do those niggas call it? The culture. Good for the culture. He's one of these people that deeply affects him if people don't like him. So, you can't fool me. I know you. I know you, little bro. You could put on your brave face. You could put on your crying Wojak smiley face mask. We all know what's going on. So, you love to see it.
My dad left sent $20.
Keep pushing.
Appreciate what you do. Did you see the women on The View justify Austin Metcalf murder? Tucker, I'm just a podcaster. Also Tucker, having dinner with the president on Friday and hanging with Thile.
Yeah, well said. That's like what I say every night on the show. No, I didn't see The View. Did I see The View? No, I don't watch The View.
Kazak sent $20. How many times do you flush the toilet before you stick the toilet brush down there aggressively? Sneako rape gang victim sent $20. Plaza Netanyahu implanted a chip in my skull to keep me from having to hear this brown clown call Jesus a Palestinian again.
Dude, it's getting just like diabolical. Argentina is like Israel. Messi's like Netanyahu. It's just like the lowest tier gutter slop for brown clowns.
Kazak sent $50. Is spades an IQ? Proof blacks can think?
Is spades an IQ proof blacks can think? You mean like a game? Is that like a card game?
Prison sent $20. Nick helped me piss on Sneako.
Okay.
Kazak sent $20. I went to the state zoo today. Fun times with the children. Sneako ran on his knuckles when the bananas got tossed in the buckets.
Very good.
Hank
Well
W
done.
sent $20. Did you see the Atlee for Fishback volunteers getting attacked by Byron's staff at the event today?
I did.
If so, thoughts?
And did you see Fishback almost get punched by some Republican guy? Yeah, man, they're worried.
Stomp out a
They're
baby Bill sent
nervous.
$20. Kazarian will call you fake but pay for Foids on his Insta. I never met someone who got paid by Foids but you.
Facts. The Foids pay me. See, that's the difference. You pay Foids to hang around you. Foids pay me to be around me. Yeah, I mean, he's just an idiot. You watch him even on this interview he did, and everything is That's all he knows how to say. Fucking I don't know. Fucking the Jews. Fucking it's Israel. I don't know. Fucking it's Israel. That's all. That's the script. That's the NPC dialogue tree. He's an idiot. I can't wait for his financials to come out. When do those financials come out? July? I think those financials come out in a couple weeks. We're going to see for the second quarter. Did he put $1 million in like he said he would? He got interviewed about why he was jumping in the race, and they said, how much of your own money are you going to put in? He goes, I don't know, fucking $1 million or some. Yeah, well, let's see. So the second quarter filings, I believe the deadline was June 30th. So we're going to see that sometime this month. I'd be very curious to see if he put that $1 million in the campaign. Wouldn't you like to know? Very curious how much of his own money, Mr. Moneybags, right? How much of daddy's money do we put in the failing campaign everybody knew wasn't going to work?
Kazak sent $20. Do you custom your blazers to fit those massive hands to fit?
Well, the, hands are not really inside the suit, so.
Homie sent $20. I may have missed mention of it in a previous broadcast. What is your assessment of Representative Brandon Gill, RTX?
Is this like a running joke? I think I get asked about Brandon Gill every other night. I don't really have I don't know that much about him.
Boo Radley sent $25. What town hall level are you in Clash of Clans?
I don't play that game.
Ace Gordon sent $50. Imagine
I
a
don't
world where
play
if you
that
questioned the
game. Homie,
Holocaust or
don't
other
play
dubious
that.
history, a UN soldier was allowed to execute you on the spot. This is the actual plot of the Christian manga known as One Piece.
Imagine a world where if you question the Holocaust, UN soldier executed. This is a plot of. Okay, is that a joke?
Kazak sent $100. Let's go on to the big super chats. Thanks for the large super chat.
Thank you for
Boys
that.
just want to have fun sent $50. I told me Patriot Front are lawfare magnets.
Yep.
Patriotism is effective but triggers immune responses and is slow. It says the only
100%.
solution is to homestead and run for local elections, lol. Great show.
I mean, that's closer to it. Yeah, it is. It's a huge magnet. It already happened. There were 2 high-profile cases this year. Do people even know that? One of the Patriot Front guys got in an altercation with the black guy in Boston, Massachusetts. That black guy was awarded a $3.2 million settlement. $3.2 million in damages owed by Thomas Rousseau and Patriot Front in Massachusetts. And they haven't enforced it yet, but they can. And then in Virginia, they got a $500,000 judgment because they defaced some BLM mural. And Thomas Rousseau and the two guys responsible for it are liable for that. So they got a $3 million judgment in Boston. They got a $500,000 judgment in Virginia. Thomas Rousseau got charged under the KKK statute. It is a gift for a prosecutor. Just wait for a Democrat to get in power. It's a gift for any prosecutor that wants to fuck with them. So, like I said, those organizations, they're fun until they're not. They're good until it's not good. Everybody was having the time of their lives at Charlottesville. Go back and watch the old footage. Go back and watch all those stupid idiots in their white polos doing that version of the uniform in 2017, and they're literally on a bus singing Dixie. Literally, it's all these idiot chuds in their white polo uniform. That's a 1.0 version of it. And they're literally doing a sing-along on the bus with Richard Spencer singing Down and Down in Dixie, Back in Dixie, whatever that stupid fucking song is, as they drive to Charlottesville, where they're going to be doxxed, have their asses kicked, have their lives ruined, get charged under the KKK law. So yeah, it's literally all fun until it isn't. It's all a blast. We all feel very powerful in the moment. Feels very powerful. We're all buddied up. Oh, we're on the bus to the big thing. Oh boy, I feel powerful. We're taking over the city. Hey, hip hip hooray. Cheers to a great rally. Yeah, and then 5 years later, a Democrat takes power and extradites your ass back to Virginia to charge you for a KKK law from the 1870s. And then it's not so funny. And that's what they can do. So why open yourself up to that? It's always like
Stan
that.
sent $100. I heard you mention the market being irrational regarding crude prices. It seems to me like it's closer to market manipulation. Inventory at all-time low with inputs not able to pick up the slack, yet we're back to pre-war price and futures are just as bad. Any theories?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously market manipulation. Trump is involved in that. Axios is involved in that. The media is involved in that totally. So thanks for the big super chat. I mean, yeah, I think it's probably that.
He sent $20. Cool to see Charlie send that meme. We all know he would have turned Volcker after this war and started the revolution.
That dude, it was so full circle because he posted a Chris Emerson meme. Chris Emerson was one of the top generals of the Groyper War against Charlie Kirk. He was like the first great Groyper artist and was making these cartoons and graphics. And he was like the OG America First artist in the Groyper War. So for Charlie Kirk to take a Chris Emerson meme during the generational run and send it to Candace Owens is just like insane. It's just like insane the way it comes around like
sent
that.
$20. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country.
Very true. Yeah, it's easy to be. See, that's why I love the winter. I love the winter. I thrive in the winter. It's easy. It's easy to feel good in the summer. It's fun in the summer. Sun's out. Everybody's out and about doing your thing. Hey, buckle up. Get ready for the long, cold, and dark winter. Let's see who has what it takes. I did it. I was there for the winter of Joe Biden for years, being banned from everything. Came back and went on the generational run. That's what it takes. You know, everybody, we're in the summer. I hope you know that. 24, 25, we're the summer. We're in the fall. We're in the autumn. We're entering the winter. I hope you're ready for that because it's going to get ugly.
Slick sent $20. Nick finally disavowing Sneeko has finally made him into the real white supremacist we've always wanted him to be.
Well, something like that.
M4TT sent $22. Crazy how so many people misuse the term Fed like they don't even know what it means.
I know.
Anyways, God bless you, Nick. Latin cross emoji.
Now it just means if you disagree, they go, you'd only say that if you were Fed. It's like, so if I disagree with you, that's a sure sign I'm a Fed. Okay.
One Hoop 1 sent $20. I hope Trump paid Plattner's ex for the R8 allegation in some worthless pump coin. Epstein red pilled me sent $20. What's good, my nigga? Do you have any comedic actors that you really like? I like Danny MC Bride in Eastbound and Down.
He's really funny, but I didn't like that show. He's really funny in Pineapple Express and some of those other movies. I didn't like him in that show. I don't think that show was that funny, but he was really good. I like him a lot. I like, who else is funny? I'd have to think about that. He's really good, though. I love that movie, Pineapple Express. I saw it not too long ago. That's a classic. I like Will Ferrell, like Step Brothers. I know that's basic, but that's funny. What else is good? I'd have to think about that. I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched anything funny like that. I like Larry David. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. I think that's one of the best shows of all time. I like 30 Rock. Alec Baldwin's great. I like that he's a liberal douchebag. I think that's funny. Yeah, those are some of my favorites.
UW sent $200. Top tier intro and W show.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate the big super chat as
Ayatollah
well.
Khomeini sent $100. Muslims and Jews in a nutshell. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward.
Very
Matthew
true.
6:5.
Very true. That is what they're doing. Thank you for the super
Coach
chat.
Skig sent $20. I'd, man. Planner's a white guy, doing some beverage driving, playing it fast and loose with a wiring. How liberal could he be?
He's just one of these like a Chapo guy. Yeah, he's a toxic male that has the worst politics of all time. They're everywhere, dude. They're everywhere. Are you kidding me? They're everywhere. There are tons of guys that are deadbeats like that. You know, guys with tattoos, guys with ironic mullets, guys with stupid fucking mustaches. And yeah, they rape girls. And yeah, they have, you know, they drunk drive or whatever. And they also have the worst politics of all time. They're like, dude, don't be an asshole. Dude, don't be a racist. Don't be a fucking bigot. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people out there like that. Look at Gavin McInnes. Gavin McInnes loves drunk driving, loves getting handsy. And he's like, he got told by a Jew like 2 days ago that all Christians should die and go to hell. And today, he's attacking the Pope, saying, oh, well, but everyone's going to blame the Jews about immigration when the Pope is at Lampedusa or whatever, welcoming the illegals in. It's like, look at Gavin, you know. So it's totally possible.
Tex-Mex Groy % $20. You planning to see A in Soldier Field in September? Just saw him on the 4th and that was the best show I have ever been to.
I might. Yeah, I don't know. I might.
Saint Saxon sent $20. My goat.
Hey.
Billy Stir sent $35. Sneeko will talk about a genocide of women and kids in Gaza and think everyone should care more than everything. What about the abortion holocaust that's happening? He won't talk about that.
Well, Muslims support abortion.
Chinese Grow
so.
% $25. Thanks for the show. When you first came up with the name for the show, did you realize how perfect it would be for the philosophy of this movement for years?
Of course, I designed it. I designed it that way. Because I'm a visionary. That's the difference. I see the future. You see the past. You see the present. I see the future. The past isn't real. They only exist in our memories. I see the future. That's the difference. Of course I knew. Of course I saw. Because I saw how that would develop. I saw how that would unfold. I saw how that would be the wedge issue. That is a rallying cry. Yes, I knew it, and I explained it literally from day one.
Non-active sent $20. Any analysis of the Israeli influence in Somalia? Is this a play to control the Gulf of Aden?
Totally, yeah. That's why they want Somaliland to break off. Somaliland or Puntland. Them and the Emirates, they're doing the same thing in Sudan. They're trying to control the Red Sea. So
Versace Grower % $1,001.
Hey, thank you for the massive super chat. Yo, 07's in the chat. No message. Beautiful. Versace Groiper. Dub. Thank you very much, man. God bless you. Appreciate all the support. Love
Deerfield
it.
Grower % $20. Did you grow up around the Jews from Rogers Park or Skokie? You know way more about religious Jew than any goy I've seen.
Yeah, because I read. No, I'm from LaGrange Park. We had one Jew. I'm from LaGrange Park. Went to Lyons Township. I knew one Jew who was in Boy Scouts with us. And it turned out to be gay. And he had Asperger's. And he was just like, bruh, it was crazy. He was like so fucking annoying. I only knew him in like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And he was literally, he had Asperger's and just was like the biggest performative spurg of all time. And then turned out to be gay later on.
That's it for tonight. I can't do anymore. He's just dragging it out. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Sorry I wasn't really on my toes today. Anyway, yeah, I'll be on tomorrow, same time. I'll see you guys then. Thanks. See you tomorrow.